happy.
For the rest of the day, boy.
Yep, he's getting his royalties there now. So the rain's kicking in today, then the...
Bit of rain, maybe a bit of thunder, but next week's going to be lovely, so just focus on that.
Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't...
So after today, right, and tonight, bit of rain, maybe some surface flooding.
Right.
Shower Saturday, Sunday, and improving weather next week.
I see a lot of farmers out there, they got the silage in, and just in time. Wasn't that good, isn't it?
Did they really?
Yeah. Well, some did. I see fields in it, so it was cut, and then the next day, yesterday, they had it all baled up or whatever they do in them black things, plastic.
Wrapped it.
But then I suppose you need access to the machinery. If you want, everybody wants the boy that does the wrapping at the one time.
I'd say so, yeah. You have to book it.
Unless you have a wrapper.
Bale, I think it is about now.
How much?
€30 bale.
Is that a good price or a bad price?
Well,
sounds dear enough. But you look, there's some bit of feeding in that, isn't it?
There is, but if you have 20 cattle, you wouldn't be long chewing through it. Should we stick to talking about radio and not pretend
we know nothing about farming and wrapping black stuff and €30 a bale? Them boys are farts. I just paid €62 for a bale.
Well, I don't know. Maybe we should shop around for bales.
Yeah.
Hey, come here. What are you going to do today?
Oh well, I
know you've got a mixture of work. I'm on about outside.
I'm going. I need tyres. Do
you really need shoes?
And I need to get the balance.
Did you ever get your van NCTs?
Oh, she passed.
Did she?
Yeah, she passed.
I had such a handling. I had a car through the NCT, numerous delays, it was cancelled, then got there, then the lift broke, and then I was down at Letterkenny at 11:30 the night before last, finishing it off.
Isn't it mad getting your car tested at night time?
I know,
but
it was not my fault because it got tested in Donegal town, the lift broke there, and then I ended up in Letterkenny.
And did you pass?
Oh yeah, flying colours.
Right.
In fairness,
right?
It's my car, but it's not my car. It's hard to describe.
What do you mean it's hard?
What?
Who owns the car?
It's my son's car. But young people, you have to do everything for them still.
Now, come on, Father's Day's coming up. They're saying about what the fathers instill into their sons. And
I need to instill more of it.
I say you instill plenty.
I did, but I need to instill more.
Oh, you're all right.
All right, I better go because the Health Minister is coming up on the show very shortly. In fact, before we do a review of the newspapers, she met with TDs last night, and it'll be interesting to see what came of that meeting. She has committed to meet doctors in Donegal, a number of them next week, and we'll get her views on where she thinks the surgical hub will go, or if it is a fait accompli that it's going to Sligo. So that's coming up very early in the show. I'll do that before we look at the papers. But now at 9, let's get a news update, and it's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Minister for Health gave nothing away in her meeting with Donegal TDs last night as they made the case to see a surgical hub in Donegal. It's been confirmed that Sligo has been nominated as the preferred location and that the HSE board has approved that proposal. However, Donegal deputies say that given Donegal's higher population and rate of admissions, Letterkenny is the obvious option, and say that there's in fact the capacity to see surgical hubs in both locations. Minister Jennifer Carroll McNeill is now to meet a delegation of Donegal healthcare workers as a next step next week. Donegal Deputy Pat Cope Gallagher says as it stands, a decision will not be made in the very close future.
I believe that's somewhat off yet in view of the fact that we have now raised the issue at the highest possible level. The next steps will be the meeting with the medical people in relation to this. And then I expect that we can meet with the Minister at short notice, all of us been in the Dáil. So we will just have to wait and see how it develops over the next number of weeks. But in short, there was no black smoke or there was no white smoke. It's at discussion stage now.
Drivers are being urged to take care on their morning commute. A thunderstorm warning is in place for Donegal, all of Leinster, along with Tipperary, Waterford, Cavan, Monaghan, Leitrim, Roscommon and Sligo. The warning will lift in this county at 5 o'clock. Met Éireann is warning of heavy rain, poor visibility and lightning damage. Alan O'Reilly from Carlow Weather says there could also be localised flooding.
A very wet morning, especially the eastern half of the country, with very heavy rainfall and a risk of thunderstorms. There is a risk of some torrential local downpours that could cause some flash flooding. Also a risk of hail, so visibility can be reduced for periods of time when these thunderstorms hit. And obviously the risk of thunder and lightning.
Demand for housing is spiralling, but the number of planning permissions and new house completions are down. Just over 30,000 units were completed by March, down over 1,000 of the year before. And the data shows commencements in the first 4 months of the year are down 40%. Ali Ugar from the Banking and Payments Federation says local authorities need to take action so the housing crisis doesn't become worse.
We see that planning permissions were significantly down last year as well. And I think that's a factor of the planning environment as well as some of the rezoning that needs to be taken by the local authorities. So we're advocating a more coordinated approach at the both national and the local level.
The 39-year-old man who was arrested in connection with the hoax security alert in Strabane on Monday has been released on bail to allow for further inquiries. The PSNI is continuing the investigation into the device that was found in the Avish Square area. Those who noticed any suspicious or unusual activity or believe they have information that could be of use are asked to contact the police. Looking now to the weather forecast, cloudy and wet today with outbreaks of rain along with the risk of some thunderstorms. There's potential for localised surface flooding. A humid day with maximum temperatures of 16 to 18 degrees. That's all for now from the newsroom. Back with more at 10 o'clock.
Maybe there's someone you know who's wondering what to do with their life. If so, tell them this. Ireland calls. There's more to the Irish Defence Forces than you think. A career here means purposeful work representing Ireland, with training and career advancement, third-level education and apprenticeships, medical and dental care, pension, tax-free earnings on international deployments and high annual leave and wages, meaning you're well rewarded. Be more at military.ie.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning. You're very welcome along to the 9 till Noon Show here on Highland Radio with me, Greg Hughes. We'll be having a look at the papers as we do every morning very shortly. But first, I want to cross over to Minister for Health, Jennifer Carroll McNeill. Good morning, Minister. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning. Lovely to speak to you again.
I do appreciate you're really busy, so it's very much appreciated. Okay, so you met with, cross-party delegation, really. Our Oireachtas members met with you last night, and thanks for facilitating that meeting, of course, on behalf of us all here. And they were united across the political divide on the issue of health services in Donegal. Your reflection on that meeting, Minister?
Well, first of all, I'm very grateful to the representatives from Donegal across the parties, from Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, Sinn Féin, right across the parties, for coming and meeting with me for such a considerable period of time, and for outlining each one of them their commitment to the development of Letterkenny Hospital, their concerns about different things there, their expression of the need for the future. And you will remember I was there with you on the 1st of May, and what they said reflected my own concerns about where Letterkenny needs to go. And you will remember that at that time I said to you that I was concerned that while I saw great activity, in the development of the community nursing unit just across from the hospital there, which really is a phenomenal piece of infrastructure that's going to serve the people so well. I was so impressed with the work in Errigal Hub on chronic disease management, and I want to see that extended not just from respiratory but cardiology, but that the hospital itself needs investment. And while it's had greatly more money, 60% more money, 28% more staff, the infrastructure needs improvement. And in particular, you'll recall I was concerned about surgical capacity in Letterkenny and across a range of different services. And that I believe that there needed to be more surgical capacity in Letterkenny University Hospital to meet the growing need of a growing population, but also to make sure that we are keeping the surgical expertise that is in Donegal, and to make sure that we're really thinking about the resilience of that for the future. So we had a very good, very broad conversation. It started out as one thing, focusing on the surgical hub for the Northwest. We talked about what surgical hubs do and what they don't do, and I might take the opportunity to clear up any confusion with that. And we talked about the hospital more broadly, and certainly my view that the hospital needs a very significant development plan that looks at the entire campus and puts together a plan similar to what Galway did, a master plan for Galway that really sets out a vision for the hospital for the future, the sequencing of how that would be delivered, where the priorities are in a whole of campus way that's going to meet the needs of Donegal for the future.
But Minister, who might lead that out, you see, because
yes.
We have had, just taking the funding for an example, and you're quite right in pointing out 59% increase in funding over 5 years, but that's similar to other Cialta hospitals in the region. But if you look at activity-based funding, if you look behind the figures, by that metric, the hospital is the third lowest in the country. So, are you also given a commitment today to look at what many see as chronic underfunding from Letterkenny University Hospital? So whilst our increases, are quite at the higher percentage rate in the West-Northwest group, it's coming from a very low base.
And that's what I'm reflecting, that there needs to be considerably more, and that, activity-based funding, you're right, because that's a measure of the productivity of the hospital and all of the processes of the hospital. And I'm very acutely aware, I track the figures every single day. I'm very acutely aware that over the past number of months that the hospital trolley figures in Letterkenny have been very high. And I'm also very concerned about the number of delayed discharges of care. When I was there with you that day on the 1st of May, there was 46 people who could have been moved out of the hospital who hadn't yet been moved out of the hospital. And that's for a variety of reasons. That's as much to do with services that are in the community as much as what's happening in the hospital. But the impact is that if there are 46 people who are in beds who could be elsewhere, and there are 20 people on trolleys in the emergency department, well, the maths don't add up. And it's a complete whole of hospital perspective that needs to be taken, a complete whole of community perspective that needs to be taken. Okay. Now, some of that need is being met, as you know, with the community nursing building across the road, which is going to open in Q2 next year. So that does take care of some of that broader community need, but still the hospital needs a dedicated focus. Now, what worked well in Galway? After, I have to tell you, a lot of efforts that didn't work well, but what eventually worked well was the whole campus coming together, being led by the management, being led by consultants, not competing with each other's disciplines, but recognizing the need for investment together. One of the things that I see in particular that's needed in Donegal is more inpatient beds. One of the things I see in particular is more surgical capacity generally, but I see that need is there broadly, not just for elective surgeries, not just for the small surgeries that a surgical hub would perform, but more broadly for all of the needs of the Donegal community more broadly. So, and I think it is important to distinguish what a surgical hub does and it doesn't do, if I might.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I know you want to, yeah.
So a surgical hub, and we have only just one open in Mount Carmel in South Dublin, a number of more coming next year and the end of this year. So what it does is really small day case surgeries where you're only in and out for half a day or a third of a day. So carpal tunnel syndrome in a finger, or an endoscopy, or a steroid injection, a deep pain injection, or a hernia repair, diagnostic services. What it doesn't do is cancer surgery. What it doesn't do is hip replacements. What it doesn't do is those bigger surgeries. It's just not that. It's very, very small procedures that really shouldn't be in an acute hospital setting where you go in on, you're on a single seat or a single trolley, you're in and out, you're home in your car, there's no beds associated with it. It's very, very small procedures. That's important everywhere. And that's why there is, a need for a surgical hub in the Northwest as well. I have not received a business case for the surgical hub in the Northwest yet, though we can come and talk about that. But my point about Letterkenny is I think it needs more than a place to do carpal tunnel syndrome.
Okay, well, can I
procedures.
I
think it needs more than that.
Just to make sure to clarify what you're saying there, because obviously there are plans for 6th and a 7th. One's only opened. I know those within medicine see it as it's quite attractive in terms of attracting the staff that we need to Letterkenny if it were to be located here. Are you saying, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, nor could I, are you saying that we shouldn't be focusing on a surgical hub here, that we should be focusing on something greater? And would that potentially, seeing that you might feel that Letterkenny is a greater need, influence your decision as to whether or not to sign off on the surgical hub for Sligo? Because, as I say, I trust the 171 doctors here that say they need a surgical hub for all it provides.
When I met and I spoke, obviously I didn't speak with 171, but I did speak with some of them, and my reflections are based on my learning from their conversations with me about the need to protect surgical activity, about the need to protect their expertise, to develop their expertise. Some of them are performing surgeries in a general way and that are not performing surgeries in their specialty area. That matters because we want them to retain, and not just retain, but develop their expertise. So what I'm saying to you, I suppose, is a little bit of both, if I may. I think the conversation, and I understand completely why, has become about a surgical hub in the Northwest. I understand the reasons for that because it feels like a symbolic statement about where investment is going and and what are the consequences of investment not going a particular way here or there. What I am saying is something very different. It's something that's much bigger, more additive than that. I came to Letterkenny so that I could feel and understand the layout of the campus, so that I could hear from people, so that I could understand what the particular geographic challenges were, what the particular investment challenges were. And I know very acutely, and as I said to you on that day, Letterkenny needs more.
It does, of course. And just to put some figures on that, and this is why I'm just concerned that listeners might go away with a sense of a lack of hope in relation to this. If we look at recent investments, no, I understand, Minister, sorry, and I'll let you clarify that. But if we look at recent investment, what you've inherited effectively, in terms of healthcare infrastructure, that's the equipment, furnishings and all that kind of stuff. The figure stands nationally at 1.375 billion from all funding sources. But if we look at Letterkenny University Hospital's figures, what we got works out at 0.3% of the national allocation. And this equates, if my figures are correct, only 9% of its activity-based funding allocation. So that leaves the shortfall there of 90 plus. So we've been denied significant capital investment in Letterkenny University Hospital for years. In 13 years, most of the money has been spent dealing with a flooding incident we had. So can you look at the funding or reflect that Letterkenny University Hospital is the 6th busiest inpatient hospital in the country? Because no one has up until now. And also, in terms of who is going to manage that, do you have the faith in Tony Canavan to lead that out, given the historical nature of the problems that we're talking about? Do you have faith in the current management structure to deliver that in LUH?
Well, so first of all, you're absolutely right, and Letterkenny does need more investment, and I'm very well aware of that. And can I say, I can see the activity increasing in Letterkenny, so it needs the investment no matter what. I think that one of the reasons, when I look at what Letterkenny has prioritised, the project priorities within the HSE, I don't see the same level of activity as I would want to see in terms of a coordinated business plan or a development plan for the hospital. It's not at the stage that I believe it should be at, and I'm going to ask the HSE to look at the development of Letterkenny as a campus. I do not want that to sound, though, as though I'm putting off any decisions in relation to investment or surgical hubs or surgical capacity more broadly. What I'm saying is, I want to see a dedicated focus on Letterkenny development more broadly. I want to look at the integration of expanding the services that we have in the hub, in the Errigal hub, the chronic disease management hub, the impact on the community and on the hospital of the community nursing unit, and the absolutely necessary investment in capacity, including, most importantly, surgical capacity on the hospital campus site, and how that will be delivered together. What I am saying is that other hospitals have done this already and in very effective ways. So if I pivot back to Galway, which was a bit all over the place, if I'm honest, over the last 10 years, finally came together with a single campus master plan saying, okay, look, here's our vision over a 10 or 15 year period. Yeah. We appreciate that, you can't do all of that
Minister,
work today,
I understand. I get you, but the pressure's on for you to go, and I just have a couple of very important questions, if you don't mind, because it's not just you talked about surgical activity. We have a huge reliance on locum consultants. I know. Which is crazy. You look at it. You look at the roster. So how do they manage the surgical rosters? And we seem to be ignored by the national training bodies as well. So we have to come at this at so many historically we have. So could you give a commitment, or will you try and seek to deliver fair and an equitable number of the likes of senior registrars, trainees to LUH, that we're not so reliant on locums?
Yes, absolutely. But the hospital management also have to do that too. I mean, I am there to support Letterkenny. Letterkenny has to do its own work as well, which I think is very important. So I am there to support Letterkenny because I can see the need that is there. But Letterkenny is one of 29 acute hospitals. I can't, you know what I mean? I don't want it to have to be singled out in a special way. With such an extraordinary focus. It's one of 29 hospitals, and it should be performing at the highest level. And one of the reasons I think that was expressed to me on the 1st of May about the number of locums and the difficulty in retaining staff is that sort of plan for the future, is that sort of confidence about where Letterkenny is going. And I can tell you that as Minister for Health, I want to see Letterkenny being confident about where it's going, what its plan for investment is, and that people know that, and that they can have faith in it, and that they can see a plan over time. And that is what I am going to make sure happens.
Okay, well, the surgical hub has become.
That it has happened to date.
The surgical hub has become almost like a test. Okay,
I understand.
The TDs, medical professionals, were told that it was going to Sligo because of population. I can't find any metric where population works. When you receive that business case, and I think too, it's very important, Minister, that when you came here, in all honesty, you were told that the decision hadn't been made, but that decision had been made. It had been made. It hadn't been formally signed off on, but it had been made. And I think it's very unfair that you were placed in the position to be told that it hadn't been made, because there is documentation to show that they'd chosen Sligo at that point. But you still have yet to receive the business model. Will you scrutinise that and see if there is a better argument for Letterkenny? I think that's what the listeners want, what you will do when this business case lands on your desk.
I will absolutely scrutinise when it comes to my desk. I will absolutely scrutinise it to assess how this is going to deliver for the Northwest. But
it can't deliver for Donegal, Minister. We're too far away from it. It's 2.5 hours from parts of Donegal to Sligo. It can't deliver for the Northwest.
I understand. But what I want to look at is what is the service delivery? What is the plan for the Northwest? You can hear in my voice my commitment to surgical activity in Letterkenny, in Donegal, and to the people of Donegal. But I do think that the people of Donegal need much more focus on broad surgical activity than the simplicity of some of the procedures that are going to be performed in a surgical hub. But I can completely understand, and I know, and I spoke to my colleagues in the Oireachtas about this last night, I can completely understand the depth of feeling and how that gets pointed into a single decision point in relation to a surgical hub, given what the strength of feeling is in Donegal, given the background of investment and underinvestment and under-planning for Letterkenny University Hospital. I can completely understand that. And what the reason that I was saying this is what a surgical hub does and what it doesn't do is I don't want a surgical hub to become more important than the broader surgical need in Donegal. Donegal needs more than carpal tunnel syndrome. Donegal needs more surgical focus. What I will do, what I absolutely will do, and what I had always intended to do no matter what decision came to me, was to look at surgical activity in the round, to look at the balance and the needs of investment. And I will not be signing off on anything until I am comfortable about the broad balance of delivery across the Northwest. I came to Donegal for that reason. And I have not forgotten what I've seen, what I've heard, and what I felt with the people and the medics there. And I can assure you that that is the piece of work that I will be doing.
And also to you were given information in good faith that the cancer delivery rates had dramatically improved. I wouldn't mind forwarding on to you actual evidence to suggest that that is not the case. That
please.
It hasn't gone from 20 to 70% to get chemotherapy, etc. on time. But I wouldn't mind forwarding on some information that actually displays why that is not the case, because I don't think it's fair if you're briefed. Very finally, Minister, and I apologise to your assistants as well. Have you faith in the local management to deliver what you believe needs to be done, given what you've seen firsthand, given your interactions? And also, do you have faith that the Galway-based administration is actually treating Donegal fairly? Just finally to that point, Minister.
Look, I'm not a new Minister for Health. I'm there 4 months now, and I am finding my way across all of the hospital management system and the nuances that within. What I want to see what Donegal is going to put forward. There's no point saying you didn't get investment if you didn't ask for structured investment in the best possible way as well. So I am now, looking at everything in relation to Donegal. What's been asked for, how advanced are the plans. It's very, very clear that there needs to be a development control plan for the hospital. The hospital has been well advised that they are preparing the projects. It should prepare the projects in the form of a development control plan, and that is the best way forward. And I look at the Galway model as something that was a bit all over the place and really got its act together as a hospital, more broadly as a campus and as a vision for the people in Galway. Letterkenny can, must, should do the same thing, and I will do everything I can to support that piece of work and make sure that the HSE supports that piece of work.
Well, hopefully also the historical nature of where we find ourselves is taken into consideration as perhaps we try and create a new path forward. For now, Minister, sorry for eating into your day. I do appreciate your time.
To talk to you.
Take care of yourself. Thanks very much for fulfilling your promise to come back on with us. Okay, that was Minister Jennifer Carroll McNeill. So much more to ask, but time is always against. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. 086 60 25,000, or call us on 074 91 25,000.
Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Thinking of changing your floors? Why not see what Florid Letterkenny has to offer? Florid have a large selection of solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring, together with a fantastic choice of parquet, herringbone flooring, all at incredible value. Don't delay. Call Florid today on 087 161 7008.
Go electric during our 252 event and discover our full range of rewired iconic Ford cars, including the all-electric Explorer, the all-new Capri, and the Puma has gone fully electric, starting from €29,900. Ford have gone electric. Ireland is going electric. So what's stopping you? Go electric. Book your test drive at Ford.ie. Offer ends 15th of June. Price includes grant and BRT relief and excludes delivery and related charges. T's and C's apply.
Pink. It's more than a colour. It's a splash that makes everything feel fresher. Pink socks to work? Guaranteed good day. Pink running shoes are a PB waiting to happen. Pink umbrella? You'll forget it's even raining. And now, pink meets 7-Up. Crisp, fizzy, fun. Turning every sip into a refreshing burst of flavour. New 7-Up Pink Lemonade. Zero sugar. Life's fresher with pink.
Morning auctioneers, estate agents and valuers will host a plant and machinery auction at their yard in Dromahall, Manor Cunningham this Friday 13th and Saturday 14th of June. Friday from 1pm sharp, around 1,000 small items are up for auction. On Saturday from 10am sharp, there's over 800 lots of plant and machinery. Viewing available all day Thursday and Friday. Please inspect items carefully, as all sales are final once the hammer falls. See Facebook for items and more details. Online bidding and catalogue available on Marti. That's this Friday and Saturday at Morning Yard, Dromahall, Manor Cunningham.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time now is 9:24. Let's get some reaction to that meeting between Oireachtas members, 5 TDs, 3 senators across party, with the Sinn Féin Chief Whip, Deputy Pádraig McLaughlin. Thanks for your time, Deputy. I do appreciate it. And your reflections on the meeting. Obviously, this is a minister that is prepared to listen. As you would know, I think we've sort of had a bit of cynicism ingrained into us for generations here in this county, so it's going to be on action, not ears. What's your takeaway from the meeting?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Greg. Action will be the decisive factor here. It was good to have the meeting last night. It was obviously vital following the actions of the regional executive, the top person in the HSE in the west and northwest of Ireland, Tony Canavan, who didn't listen to the profound concerns of both the public representatives, elected representatives in Donegal, but more importantly, the doctors and the surgeons and the consultants in Donegal. And so therefore, the only show in town now is the minister. She'll make the final decision. There was a united effort last night. Everybody said we have to have a surgical hub in Letterkenny. If you want to have 2, that's fair enough, one in Sligo and one in Letterkenny. But if there has to be one in the region, there's only one.
But listening to the minister this morning, she's not dismissing that, but she's, from my impression, downplaying the road of a surgical hub. It's for carpal tunnel syndrome and stuff. And that really, we need to look at the bigger picture in Letterkenny. But that's not going to wash, I fear, with respect to her, because we need something now. Maybe the surgical hub is not the solution to everything, but it is something. And I think that's what that hospital needs now. It needs something, not another big, massive plan. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure there's much faith out there for the HSE leadership knocking about to actually deliver what that minister might want in her term of office or anything close to it.
Yeah, absolutely, Greg. And you'll know yourself when talking to the doctors, consultants, elected reps, campaigners, none of us are saying the surgical hub is all that we need, but we're saying it's the bottom line. And, with respect to the minister, there's 6 of these surgical hubs, 2 for Dublin, 1 for Waterford, Limerick, Cork and Galway. and now one for the Northwest. In my view, there should be two. So if they're not all that big a deal, why have they all gone to the major hospitals in the state?
I did suggest that to her.
Yeah, so like the next steps now is she's going to meet the doctors. We obviously stressed the vital need to do that. Some of the points she was making last night, the doctors would absolutely agree that we need to develop cancer services, cardiac services. There's a much bigger picture for Letterkenny Hospital, but the surgical hub is a sign of goodwill. It's a sign that the days of neglect and the days of discrimination are over, and it's a test. It's a test of the new minister's mettle, and I hope she's going to meet that test very soon.
But the issue I have here from previous interviews, and also demonstrably, is that her wish to see the development of Letterkenny does not seem to align with the ethos in Galway. That they seem to be investing more in Sligo and certainly in Galway and not in Letterkenny. So my concern is she's waiting for the hospital to say this is what we need. And then there is a chain of command and people might not want to be sort of undermined in previous decisions they've made. If you get what I'm talking to here.
Yeah, I totally agree, Greg. And I mean, you know more about this than most. You've looked at this forensically over the years. And the bottom line is we have been shafted in Donegal. We have...
But we haven't necessarily been shafted by Dublin. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, we've been shafted by the political, and I call them very political structures in the HSE and previously CELTA, because now HSE have replaced CELTA. So this project gravitated towards Galway, and as you know, Galway's not a huge city. What is it, 70,000, something like that? So Galway is at the bottom end of this region of 800,000 people. It's right at the bottom end. Can you imagine if we said we are going to put a hospital in Carndonna or Letterkenny, and that hospital will service everybody?
Right, be left out of it.
There'll be thousands of people on the streets in Galway. So this is about an even spread of services, a fair spread, no matter where you live. And Damien Dowds, I thought, was brilliant recently on your show, editor of the Inishowen Independent. He asked the question, why is it that we always have to travel? Mm-hmm. Why is it we in Donegal have to travel, 5 hours to Galway, 5 hours back? I was talking to a man from Donegal recently, Greg, and he told me the story. For the second time in recent times, he had a procedure cancelled. Right, he had hotel costs lost. His wife, who was accompanying him, had time off work lost. He was on the road to Galway, and they rang him to say the bed's cancelled. On the road, yeah, this is what's going on for our people in Donegal for years. So all we're asking is the same access to health services as everybody else. So the surgical hub is the first test of that. Are they serious about reversing the neglect? This is the first big test, and that's what I said to the minister last night. Is that, and she knows that. Like this, of course, we know we need much more than a surgical hub for Letterkenny.
Yeah, it's ironically, I put it exactly the same to her without the knowledge of how you or anyone else phrased it at that meeting. This is to, this is why the ambulatory centre kind of rubbed people up the wrong way, because it was another promise, whereas the surgical hub is something that we can say, right, we have. Okay. It just means that maybe we have to travel for less. Maybe it takes some pressure off the hospital. Maybe we can attract more full-time staff rather than relying on locums. I think you might have to dash for a vote, Deputy, but I appreciate your time.
Not at all, Greg. And listen, thanks for everything you're doing. I mean, Highland Radio, and it's not said enough, I think, is at the centre of our community in Donegal. It's always championing the issues, holding all of us to account. No matter who we are in politics, we're held to account. So listen, thank you for all you're doing. Thank you.
Take care, Pádraig. Thanks very much for that. We'll be getting reaction from one of the most vocal of the 171 that signed that letter seeking a meeting with the Minister, which has now been agreed to. And that will be Dr. Pádraig McInness joining me after this quick break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Rossview Interiors in Letterkenny are delighted to offer a limited quantity of sofas just in at unbelievable knockdown prices, with suites reduced from €2,050 to €1,250 and corner suites from just €1,350. There's also storage beds down from €650 to €450 and huge savings on a selected range of dining sets. So make your way to Rossview Interiors, Rossview Business Park, Letterkenny, just off the Polestar roundabout, as these bargains won't last.
Hybrid, plug-in hybrid, electric. Don't get confused. Get excited with Toyota, Ireland's best-selling car brand. We give you the power of choice to drive the way you want to. Our wide range includes the Toyota CHR and the all-electric BZ4X, with power-up boosters of up to €3,000 and flexible payment options available. But demand is high, so order now for immediate delivery at your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, built for a better world. Terms and conditions apply. Best-selling claim based on latest figures.
Meet Mike. He's here to tell you why you should switch to Outsurance and save on your car insurance.
Hi, I'm Mike from County Kerry. I made the switch to Outsurance and saved €143. I'm also on my way to getting 10% cash back with our Out bonus.
Like the sound of that? For a competitive car insurance quote like Mike's, call 1-800-600-400 or visit outsurance.ie. Real people, unreal savings. Outsurance. You always get something out. Based on a like-for-like policy comparison, the customer received a gratuity for their participation. Out bonus calculated less taxes and levies. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Car and home insurance is underwritten by Outsurance DAC. Outsurance DAC, trading as Outsurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The Clonmany Agricultural Show Monster Draw. €100,000 in prizes. First prize a Valtra tractor or Skoda Kodiaq car. Second prize a Can-Am Outlander 500cc quad or €10,000. Plus 8 other cash prizes. Tickets are available now online at clonmanyshow.com or from any committee member. This would be a great Father's Day gift.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme, and I want to welcome on to it Dr. Pádraig McInness, GP, and part of the campaign to bring the surgical hub to Letterkenny. Pádraig, good morning to you. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Greg.
And just to reflect on where we're at, I think it's really encouraging that we had so many of the people we rely on for our good health, or to look after us when we aren't in good health, to come together and lead out in relation to this. And in fairness to our elected reps, both councillors and our TDs and senators, 7 of which met the minister last night, united in our voice. There is a momentum here which I worry if we lose, that we could lose, that this is almost like, this is our chance. That's the feeling I'm getting, if you know what I mean. So I suppose we've achieved very little as of yet, but we hope to achieve more. It is a better position we're in terms of the united campaign here, I think, Pádraig.
I mean, absolutely, Greg. I think I've never seen it before where all 5 of our elected TDs have been on the one page about something and have agreed to work together on something. I think that's unprecedented. And I think it's unprecedented that 171 GPs and consultants who come out and sign a letter and call for something. And I think that really shows the gravity of the situation, Greg. And it shows that actually this is not just the last, final lightning rod, basically. This actually will potentially be the death knell of our hospital. If we don't get our surgical hub, we won't be able to attract surgeons. If we can't attract surgeons, that means our ED gets downgraded. If you can't attract surgeons, you can't maintain a roster for maternity services, and that's maternity gone, and that's ED downgraded, and that's why everybody is so scared. And listening to the minister a moment ago, it was a bit disingenuous. I felt some of the things that she said to you, Greg, particularly around what surgical hubs can do, particularly around the importance of surgical hubs. And she said something else that kind of annoyed me a bit, in where she said that actually maybe that consultants shouldn't be fighting for their own patch. There's no fighting for our own patch here. 171 doctors, of which nearly 60 of them are consultants, which represents greater than 70% of the consultant cohort of the hospital. Everybody in Letterkenny is on the same page here. And to say that we're not on the same page is disingenuous.
Do you, when the minister, and I'm going to wait and see in terms of the jury being out from my perspective, but when the minister sort of plays down these surgical hubs, but you look at where they're located, and then talks of sort of we need to start addressing the wider issues. Have you any concern that that's laying the groundwork for saying, right, okay, surgical hubs, they're not all that. Wait till you see what we're going to deliver for you. But we know the lifetime of government. We know the lifetime of a minister, and we know who'd be charged with trying to lead out and implement that. People who've been in these positions historically. Have you any concern that we may be going down a path that might not result in what we're hoping for?
Look, we're not going to let it, is the bottom line to that. But absolutely, Greg, and particularly from listening to our interview a moment ago, I was actually fairly excited this morning, having spoken to people last night, that maybe we were making more progress, and I think we are. But to hear her say those things is a wee bit out of the same playbook that we've heard before, honestly. So this sort of playbook where we're putting it back on local HSE management, come back with a solution, that is a 10 to 15 year project we're talking about, and it's not good enough. And we're not going to allow it to happen. You know, this is the playbook we've heard before from previous ministers. Well, look, come to us with a plan, come to us with a whole campus plan, and we'll come back and see. And I think it's great to acknowledge the great work that's going on in Letterkenny, for sure. And there is lots of great work. Bear in mind, most of it is community-based, right? So the Errigal Community Hub is about looking after chronic disease in that community. It's run by the community services. Similarly, the community-based hospital with 120 beds, 110 beds next year is going to be phenomenal. Again, it's not acute services, it's community services. We've had no investment in acute services in Letterkenny in 10 years, apart from fixing a broken roof and fixing a flood. So there's been no acute investment, and it's a wee bit disingenuous to keep focusing on community work and not focusing on acute beds, which is again what she did a moment ago, which is really disappointing. And
my impression too, also to Porg, sorry to interrupt there, is that she's putting it up to Tony Canavan and Sean Murphy. Effectively. Now, Tony Canavan has been on this show previously in the past, and he's quite clear, as I think, as how he sees health delivery in this region. And if you want the best, you're going to have to travel from Donegal. He said that pretty much verbatim on the show. And also then, of course, we had the issue of the surgical hub being raised. And unless I'm misquoting, and I don't want to do anyone any injustice, but Sean Murphy was then advocating for the ambulatory centre, not sort of saying, well, no, we need to go back and check in the surgical hub. So it seems to be that at the very best scenario, she's putting this back to local management and saying, come back to me, and then reviewing how they do that, and then maybe doing something. Do you get where I'm coming from? It's like now we've got another entire stage in between where we're at and the possibility of any improvement.
Look, that is the reality. And the reality is that we cannot trust HSE West and Northwest to represent Letterkenny. And that is, you know, I am not saying something controversial there. I'm saying something that I have the facts and figures in front of me that presents that, and that you have just outlined to her, Greg, on the show, that we actually can trust HSE West and Northwest to present Letterkenny as a viable option for lots of services. And, you know, it's disingenuous again. It is her decision of where a surgical hub is decided for. We have the data, which we're hoping to present to her next week, that really clearly shows of why Letterkenny should be the position for the surgical hub. And, you know, just because the HSE West and Northwest says it should be in Sligo, the decision's hers. And if she can't, you know, I've been reliably informed that she is a person who completely and utterly relies on facts, figures and data. And if that is the case, then we have no argument here. It is very clear the surgical hub should be in Letterkenny. And back to this ambulatory care hub again. I mean, she was lining it up, it felt like, with you, Greg, to say that the ambulatory care hub was going to be the future in Letterkenny.
Well, that's the impression I got.
Absolutely. That's a 10 to 15 year project. In the meantime, our consultants have left. In the meantime, our surgeons are working somewhere else. In the meantime, nothing's delivered. I mean, the endoscopy hub was guaranteed and announced back in 2013. We are still doing our endoscopies in the car park, despite the fact that we do the largest amount of endoscopies in the country. So if there was true, actual commitment to investment in Letterkenny, it would happen. And it's a bit disingenuous to say, if the project's presented, we'll fund it. The project for an endoscopy hub was presented. It wasn't funded, and it's still been done in the car park at a cost of $2 million a year to a private or
also,
a private operator.
You know, there is a question too as well, what data she's getting, because you say that she's a data-driven minister, and she was given data that you could be disputed as it relates. In fact, it was Councillor Declan Meehan raised the issue of cancer delivery and the timely delivery of cancer services. But I've seen data since that suggests that all was not as it seems, right? So if she's making decisions based on data, you know, say for instance, someone with a straight face people with a straight face who were relying on for this business plan perhaps made the population argument for Sligo as a surgical hub. Straight face said that. So if that's the data she's getting, you know what I mean? That's a concern I would also have, especially because sometimes if you make decisions based on data, it can be clinical. You have to make sure you have the right data.
So I suppose that's where we come in now, Greg. We're evidence-based clinicians, and we have already started gathering the data that proves that not only has there been systemic underfunding, but also that the surgical hub is best placed in Letterkenny. I mean, there's really simple arguments, and we're going to present them next week to her, But one simple one is, if you have it in Letterkenny, no one is within 90 minutes in Sligo, Leitrim or Donegal from a surgical hub. That was the intention of her own department's report. They didn't want it more than 90 minutes. So why would you not have it there? Why would you have someone travelling from Clonmany to Sligo? They just won't do it. And I mean, I've said nationally and other places, I have patients, Greg, who currently are going blind because they can't get cataracts done and they cannot get their macular degeneration injections done because they cannot travel the 2 hours plus that it takes to go from Fana to Sligo because they're in their 80s and 90s. That is health inequality at its most stark, and we are not going to stand for it on this occasion. And you're quite right, there is a different movement on this time, Greg. There's a different movement on because never before have we had all the politicians, never before have we had all the clinicians, and just being like, we're really looking forward to meeting the minister next week. We're really looking forward to presenting the data. But if she goes ahead and puts a surgical hub in Sligo against the blaringly obvious data that's sitting, looking at her in the face, and does it with a straight face, the people will be on the streets of Donegal. That is the reality of what's going to happen.
I just think people down the country see the Northwest, and the minister referenced this on a couple of occasions, what's best for the Northwest. And I think maybe sometimes we need to look at a map with the 6 counties out of it. Or I don't know how they might need to look at it, right? But Inishowen is almost separate to the Northwest, for an example, if you know what I mean, in terms of how far it is from the Northwest. And what we've seen historically is you put a pin in Sligo, it seems, nationally, and that's the Northwest catered for. And just to try and keep going to a regional response to this, in other words, what are we talking about here? It might be best to even further invest in Sligo. Is that what we're talking about? I don't know. But the minister, on a couple of occasions, moved from the Donegal question to the Northwest response. And that doesn't, in my view, take into consideration the reality of a lot, not least your patients who are losing their independence and their ability to see because of something, a fantastic medical advance that they can't access because it's so bloody far away.
Yeah, I heard her multiple times, especially towards the end of the interview, say to you, what's best for the Northwest? What's best for the Northwest? The Northwest includes Donegal, and the Northwest includes Inishowen, and we need to remind Dublin sometimes that we are here and that Donegal is part of that, and actually that we carry the population base. Figures well documented before, 165,000 versus about 102,000 Sligo, Leitrim and South Donegal. So like the population base stacks up. And, you know, I hear this a wee bit like, you know, about Inishowen and Fanad and other areas that maybe they're just too far away and that they have to accept perhaps that they're too far away from services. They don't have to be too far away from services at all. And our population base stacks it up. 30,000 or just shy of 35,000 day case procedures performed last year in Letterkenny, another couple of thousand sent to Ballykelly to be done, roughly the same amount in Sligo. And actually, when you take the Donegal patients out of the Sligo numbers drop dramatically because of ophthalmology and ENT. So we have the population base to sustain it. We have the surgeons to sustain it. We just need the room for them in which to operate. I agree with her completely. There's a big problem in terms of theatre space. We have surgeons who have no space to operate. And a great example of that is, you know, like, pilots love to fly, surgeons are trained to do surgery, and we need to give them the time and space to do that. From speaking to surgeons at Letterkenny, they're doing 1 and 2 lists a month. That's not how you attract surgeons. It's also not how you clear waiting lists. And, you know, another thing's important, Greg. She was trying to play down that these surgical hubs are basically like some sort of GP surgery that does carpal tunnel syndromes. That's not true. Okay, it is just not true. They do lap choles, which is taking out gallbladders. They do loads and loads of day service procedures. 30,000 happen in Letterkenny already per year of day surgery alone. So there's lots of day surgery procedures that are on the current list the HSE has provided. And to mitigate it down to some sort of 15-minute carpal tunnel syndrome, again, is disingenuous.
But it's also quite remarkable, actually, that the state is investing so heavily in 7 of these that are, you know, sure, look at, do we even need them at all? I thought that was kind of interesting. What next, Porg? I mean, I don't want to preempt this meeting, although we've spent the last 15 minutes doing that with the minister, right? But, you know, what happens afterwards? So, you know, the minister will listen. She will take on board what you have to say. But if the responses are similar to that to which she gave me, you know, to pacify you guys, to say, look, we're actually looking at the bigger picture here. This isn't just about a surgical. We're looking about bells, whistles, but we need management locally to come up with a plan to deliver it us, and I'll not be found wanting in terms of funding. But what do you do next? And as I say, that's the element I'm not trying to preempt, because this momentum could very easily, if allowed to, taper off after that meeting if that type of argument is given to you.
I suppose the first thing is I have to be there in good faith, which I'm really looking forward to, and I do think and the hope that she is a very fair individual and somebody who will listen, like you said, Greg, and I think she will, and she certainly listened last night to our Oireachtas colleagues. So the hope is that she will listen to the facts and figures and make an informed decision. And she told the Oireachtas members last night that it is her decision only to make, so it is her decision to blame if the decision's not correct afterwards. So we hope that we can present to her the figures and the facts that we know are correct, and then we have to give her time. Then we have to give her time to go away and reflect on those facts and figures. And if she is a person of her word, and if she is a person who is all about facts and figures, she can't deny that Letterkenny is the obvious choice for a surgical hub. If she then goes and announces later on in the summer at some point that the surgical hub is going to be based in Sligo, she better justify why that is. And then if we cannot, if there's no matching surgical hub for Letterkenny, shall we say, then I have GPs already chomping at the bit to bring their patients to the street. I have campaigners already on the phone to me every day saying we need to get in the streets about this. And nobody wants to go to the street, by the way. Nobody wants to spend their Saturday marching in Letterkenny and having 10 or 15,000 people arriving at the door of Letterkenny. Nobody needs and nobody wants that. But we are not going to take this lying down, because as you quite rightly said to her, Greg, this is on the background of years and years of underinvestment, and this is another classic example of it, and we're not going to let it. And I think she said something about she understands the depth of feeling. Yes, there's a huge depth of feeling about this in Donegal, but actually it's not about feelings, it's about outcomes, and it's about patient outcomes, and it's about patients being able to survive longer. It's about patients getting access to services. And to say the surgical hub doesn't increase theatre capacity is again a bit disingenuous, because actually you remove all the day case procedures from the theatres they're currently in, which then frees up more space for cancer services and other services in the main theatres where they should be. So a surgical hub is the only show in town here, and it's the only show the GPs are going to accept, the consultants are going to accept, and all the Oireachtas members are going to accept. And I've never seen a campaign as strong as this before. We're looking forward to meeting the Minister next week. We're looking forward to telling her our side of the story, and hopefully she'll take that data and those figures on board.
I mean, it's costed 60 million, right? And I mean, there might be other costs associated with it, but I struggle when we see 43 million euro being allocated to Casement Park, 21 million euro being allocated to 27 million being allocated to horse and greyhound racing. I'm not saying those should come from, but money is divvied out left, right, and centre. And yet when it comes to something like health, and we're talking about a tiny minuscule part of the health budget, the fact that there's such a pushback on it, it just makes you wonder why. I don't know the answer to that. I very much look forward to hearing how the meeting with the Minister goes, Park. I really do appreciate your time, and I appreciate what you and the 170 other medical professionals and others that probably aren't signatories but feel the same are doing for us, for our mums and dads, to make sure that we don't give up on 78-year-olds, to make sure that we properly treat a 40-year-old woman and that she survives to rear her kids. This is the type of stuff we're on about, that an older person, doesn't spend their last 5 years of their life blind because they can't undertake a trip to Sligo. That's what we're fighting for here. So we appreciate you being so vocal on it on our behalf as well, being advocates for us. Take care. That's Dr. Patrick McInness, a GP and part of that campaign to bring the surgical hub to Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Celebrate Dad this Father's Day with a gift he'll love from Dunnes Stores, like Ferrero 24 packs and Butler's Twist Wrap truffles, now just €10 each. And keep him looking sharp with selected Gillette value packs, like a Pro Glide razor handle and 7 blades pack, 2 for €38. Plus, you can save at the till with a 10 off 50 grocery voucher. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used in the next grocery shop of €50 or more.
Since I switched to Hidden Hearing, I can hear it all.
You could save up to €3,000 off invisible hearing aids. Save when you switch to us, upgrade, or save on your very first hearing aids. Pre-phone 1-800-370-000. Switch and save at hiddenhearing.ie. You should go to the hearing experts. T's and C's apply.
If you've got a smart meter, you should get an Electric Ireland smart meter plan too. Why? Because you can see a breakdown of your energy usage like never before. From heating, cooking, lighting, and more. Now you can find out how much electricity you use by hour, day, and type of appliance, making your usage clearer and your world brighter. Sign up to a smart meter plan at electricireland.ie. Smart meter required, T's and C's apply.
The Chadwick Summer Sale is now on across 37 branches nationwide. Save €100 on the DeWalt 18-volt brushless combi drill, now an incredible €329. Save €160 on the Kiri Cool Touch diverter shower, only €189. Pro Plus Classic push petrol mower, now only €199. Plus loads more savings in doors and floors, paint, garden accessories, bathroom products and DIY. Visit your local branch or shop online at chadwicks.ie. Chadwicks.
Let's get it done!
Highland Radio weather updates with McInness. Find all your summer essentials from fashion and accessories to beauty and homeware at McInness. Explore more in-store or shop online at mcinness.com today.
So, cloudy and wet today with outbreaks of rain along with the risk of some thunderstorms. There is potential for localised surface flooding. A humid day with maximum temperatures of 16 to 18 degrees. I don't seem to be quite susceptible to humid weather. It doesn't seem to bother me at all. Showery rain will clear to the north tomorrow, and it'll be a bright day with sunshine, so something for you to look forward to. Monday, let's go to that. It'll look set to be a dry day on Monday, plenty of sunshine, scattered cloud, and current indications suggest high pressure building near Ireland next week, bringing plenty of dry weather, but there'll be some weak rain bands embedded in the flow, which is grand. I skipped over Saturday and Sunday, but they're not terrible. A mix of sunshine and good temperatures and scattered showers, which I don't mind, but it doesn't really matter what I care about or don't. Right, interesting hour. A lot of the stuff, like that hour we've done there, is a lot of it's for the record as well, because what you do is you get the minister's opinions on the record that can never be done away from. You get the political view from it. We got it from Deputy McLaughlin today, and then from the doctors themselves as to how they viewed that interview with the minister. Just to let you know, Paul McLaughlin of Ballochdur Garden Centre, he's on with us after 11 taking your gardening questions. So if you have any questions at all, I don't need to give you examples. You know what we're talking about. Please get in touch with us right now. 08660 25,000. And Paul's great on hedges, on lawns, on bedding plants, growing fruit, growing herbs, anything like that there. If you want to do something, or maybe you want to start something with the children, anything like that, let us know and we shall ask those questions for you. Dropped my pen. The HSC says the listener is now mainly run by agency staff. The HSC is being squandered by agency staff as they're paid higher wages than permanent staff and they choose to work their own hours. This is a mismanagement of money and that's why the budget is always overspent. Horrifying news this morning that HICWA has received over 1,000 unsolicited tip-offs on nursing homes last year. Something seriously needs to be done to have an overhaul of how nursing homes are run. They must be more about care rather than profit, and if that means the state taking them over, then that's the way it should be indeed. And as I said at the time of that RTE Investigate show, like I think I got six proper contacts from people who had real life experiences in nursing homes across the county, and advised them obviously to contact HICWA and the relevant agencies. So I'm not surprised that when you look at it from a national scale, HICWA has had such an influx of reports there. Hi Greg, good luck to Donegal this weekend against Mayo. This is a game where we really need all supporters to come out in force. It's a massive game for the county. Mayo will bring big numbers. Make sure to leave early with traffic and roadworks. Bring the colours and flags and hopefully the boys will do the rest. Fingers crossed. Obviously Mayo don't need to win, do they? They don't need to win. We need to. We don't really need to win if Tyrone can beat Cavan. There's a lot at play, but the way you sort all that out is by beating Mayo, and then whatever happens elsewhere doesn't really matter. Good morning, Greg. Well, she can talk anyway, but it all sounds like blah, blah to me. Excuse my lack of confidence, but we've heard it all before. That was the first time in conversation that it felt familiar, but let's see. We shall see. The Minister seems committed, and I certainly would be inclined to wait and see. It's great that the NCT is working late in the evening. That's the way it should be. It's a pity our health system didn't operate in the same system. That's a off-the-cuff reference I made earlier on that I was in the NCC centre at 11:30 there the other night. Yeah, indeed, when the capacity is there, they open and try and get people sorted. It's astonishing if you go in for your NCT, if you book just after midnight or even 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, the availability in the following week. It's astonishing. I did that at the weekend, and there were 3 or 4 times a day throughout the entire following week. So don't risk driving around with an out-of-date NCT, because the guards, it won't wash if it's in late August, late July or September. Go on after 12, and normally there is something very, 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 very quickly. Right, let me take a break. I'll be back with more after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
I've been looking after Mum for a good few years now. It's been hard at times. It's been difficult to find time for myself. I've even had to stop work.
You've worked hard caring for others. Now the state pension can work for you. If you've spent 20 years or more caring for a loved one who couldn't care for themselves, you can now use the time spent caring to qualify for a contributory state pension. Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at gov.ie/pension. A Government of Ireland initiative brought to you by the Department of Social Protection.
New store, new project. Your new B&Q and TradePoint Letterkenny is now open. Dreaming of a garden glow-up, fresh colour for your walls, or a new kitchen? Whatever you need for your next home improvement project, we're here to help at your new B&Q Letterkenny. Find us at Unit 4 Letterkenny Retail Park, Neil T. Blaney Road. We're open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday. You can do it when you B&Q it.
Sometimes you have to simply enhance what you have. Like the new Opel Mokka. With a new infotainment system, dash, and interior. It's had a little work done. After all, it's what's on the inside that counts. As for the outside, why mess with perfection? The new Opel Mokka. It's a head-turner. Available in petrol, hybrid and electric. Find out more at Manor Motors Opel. See manormotors.ie for details.
Everyone in Ireland felt the impact of the pandemic, but each experience was different. Now, Ireland's independent COVID-19 evaluation wants to hear your story. Complete the survey to help us learn lessons and prepare for future events. Visit covid19evaluation.ie.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. The Health Minister says Letterkenny University Hospital needs to be developed as a campus in a similar way to Galway. Minister Jennifer Carl McNeill was speaking to Greg on this morning's 9 till noon show following her meeting with Donegal representatives last night as they made the case for a surgical hub in the county. Sligo has been proposed by the HSE as the preferred location for such a facility. The Minister said she is yet to receive the business case for Letterkenny University Hospital and for Sligo, but she says she will scrutinise that business case when it arrives on her desk.
When it comes to my desk, I will absolutely scrutinise it to assess how this is going to deliver for the Northwest.
But it can't deliver for Donegal, Minister. We're too far away from it.
I understand, but what I want to look at is what is the service delivery? What is the plan for the Northwest? You can hear in my voice my commitment to surgical activity in Letterkenny, in Donegal, and to the people of Donegal. But I do think that the people of Donegal need much more focus on broad surgical activity than the simplicity of some of the procedures that are going to be performed in a surgical hub.
Minister Carl McNeill also confirmed that she will shortly meet with doctors in Letterkenny after over 170 of them signed a statement last week. Responding to that on the show a short time ago, local GP Dr Porrick McInness said he looks forward to the meeting, which he said they will go into in good faith, and they will present the Minister with the facts and figures that show that a surgical hub is necessary in Letterkenny. He says if the Minister's decision isn't that a surgical hub will go to Letterkenny, then he believes the campaign will take to the streets.
If she announces later on in the summer at some point that the surgical hub is going to be based in Sligo, if there's no matching surgical hub for Letterkenny, I have GPs already chomping at the bit to bring their patients to the street. I have campaigners already on the phone to me every day saying we need to get in the streets about this. And nobody wants to go to the street, by the way. Nobody wants to spend their Saturday marching in Letterkenny and having 10 or 15,000 people arriving at the door of Letterkenny. Nobody needs and nobody wants that. But we are not going to take this lying down.
The 39-year-old man who was arrested in connection with the hoax security alert in Strabane on Monday has been released on bail to allow for further inquiries. The PSNI is continuing its investigation into the device that was found in the Evish Square area. Those noticed any suspicious or unusual activity or believe they have information that could be of use are asked to contact police. Demand for housing is spiralling, but the number of planning permissions and new house completions are down. Just over 30,000 units were completed by March, down over 1,000 on the year before, and data shows commencements in the first 4 months of the year are down 40%. Ali Uger from the Banking and Payments Federation says local authorities need to take action so the housing crisis doesn't become even worse.
We see that planning permissions were significantly down last year as well. And I think that's a factor of the planning environment as well as some of the rezoning that needs to be taken by the local authorities. So we're advocating a more coordinated approach at both national and local level.
A man's been arrested in connection with the murder of Annie McCarrick. The 26-year-old American went missing from her home in Sandymount in Dublin in March of 1993. With more, here's Daniel Pitcher.
30 years after her disappearance, Gardaí have arrested a man in his 60s on suspicion of Annie McCarrick's murder. Originally from New York, Annie had moved to Dublin in 1993 but vanished just weeks later. She had spent time in Dublin in the late 80s studying at St Patrick's College in Drumcondra and Maynooth. Today, Gardaí began a detailed search of her property in Clondalkin. A restricted airspace is now in place, banning drones from flying over the site. The current residents of the home are not connected to the case. The arrest, led by an investigations team from Irishtown Garda Station, is a major development in one of Ireland's biggest cold cases. Gardaí are urging anyone with information, new or old, to come forward. Her family has been informed and is asking for privacy.
Drivers are being urged to take care on the roads this morning. A thunderstorm warning is in place for Donegal, Cavan Monaghan, Olive Leinster and Tipperary, Roscommon and Sligo. The warnings will be lifted in Donegal at 5 o'clock this evening. Met Éireann is warning of the potential for heavy rain, poor visibility and potentially lightning damage. Alan O'Reilly from Carlow Weather says there could also be localised flooding.
A very wet morning, especially the eastern half of the country, with very heavy rainfall and a risk of thunderstorms. There is a risk of some torrential local downpours that could cause some flash flooding. Also a risk of hail, so visibility can be reduced for periods of time when these thunderstorms hit. And obviously the risk of thunder and lightning.
And confirming the weather from Met Éireann, cloudy and wet today with outbreaks of rain along with the risk of some thunderstorms. A potential, as Alan said, therefore localised surface flooding. Humid with maximum temperature 16 to 18 degrees Celsius, moderate southeast winds. And again, a reminder that there is that yellow thunderstorm warning in effect until 5 this evening. We're back with news headlines at 11. Check all the day's news on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning.
The Obituary notices this Thursday morning, June 12th. The death has taken place of Angela Buckley, née Rob, 19 Westfield, Newton Cunningham. Angela's remains will be reposing at Drumboy Farm, Newton Cunningham, from 1 o'clock until 9 o'clock today, with rosary at 8 p.m. Funeral from there on Friday at 10:15, going to All Saints Church, Newton Cunningham, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, which can be viewed live on churchservices.tv, followed by private cremation at Lakelands Crematorium, Cavan. Family time on the morning of the funeral, please. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers if desired to the Irish Cancer Society, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Raymond Blair, 18 Hillhead Road, Yerney Strabane. Service of Thanksgiving in his late home on Saturday at 11 o'clock, followed by burial in Strabane Cemetery. Family flowers only, donations in lieu if desired to Chest Heart and Stroke Association. House private, please, everyone's welcome to the funeral service. The death has occurred of Bridget McCarran, Glass Mullen, Dumfries. Remains are reposing at her late residence. House strictly private at the request of the deceased, leaving there tomorrow morning at 10:15 for 11 a.m. Mass in St Mary's Church, Cockhill, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. The death has taken place of Mary Blaney, Ross Kirkfanid. Viewing this evening from 5 o'clock until 8 o'clock in the Eternal Light Chapel of Rest Mountain Top. Requiem Mass tomorrow at 12 noon in St Columba's Church, Mass Mount Fanad, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, Letterkenny, care of any family member or Eamon Scott Funeral Directors. The death has taken place of Martha McConalogue, ní Dougal, Ballyratton, Redcastle. Martha's remains are reposing at her home. Funeral from there tomorrow at 10:15 for 11 a.m. funeral mass in St Columba's Church, Drung, followed by interment at Sacred Heart Church, Muff. Funeral mass can be viewed live on stcolumbusdrung.net. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to ICU Eltnagelvin Hospital, care of any family member or Eamon McLaughlin Funeral Director. The death has occurred on the 28th of May in Watford, England, of Kevin O'Kane, formerly of Drum Band Doneloop, reposing at the home of his brother Noel Tierna Gushog, Castlefin, today from 6:30. Funeral from Noel's home tomorrow at 11:30. For Requiem Mass at 12 noon in St Columba's Church, Doneloop. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The Mass can be viewed via the parish webcam. The death has occurred of John Campbell, Caro Cannon Fulcara, and formerly of Morn Avenue, Strabane. His remains are reposing at his late residence. House strictly private for family and close friends and neighbours. Funeral Mass at 12 noon today in St Finian's Church, Fulcara, followed by cremation in Cavan Crematorium. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Tá scéal féin ag gach gnólacht, agus tá an-post na sanolaithe seachada is fear an éireann ag cearr le níos mó gnólachtaí ceangal, trádal agus a bheith faoi rá scála níos mó. Túair muinning do customary len ar service seachada lá or na bhórach. Sábháil fustas leis an Advantage Card, nó méadaí do gnólacht leis an mól riomhreachtála, a cheanglíonthú le customary an éireann agus níos fuide agéin. Fás le an-post commerce aniu. An-post commerce, ag buint fiabhs amach.
Welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Good to have you with us. And if you missed the first hour, you shouldn't. But if you did, you should listen back to it if you're interested in health and the health provision in this county at all. A caller says, how do you sync TV with Highland Radio for Donegal matches? Well, it all depends which is ahead and which is behind. So if I use a smart speaker, and if Highland Radio's commentary is ahead, I pause it and then replay it. If Highland's commentary is behind, I have a dongle in the back of the telly, just a regular old thumb drive, as they called them, and then briefly pause the TV and then resume it when action. It's probably a little bit more complicated than I made out, but I'm a bit of a nerd, you see, and these are the types of things I'd be at. God help those around me. It might be more complicated for someone else who's not as committed to nerdism than I. Hi, Greg. I see you were talking weddings this week. I'd like to warn people to make sure your photographer and videographer are genuine. I got married 3 years ago and I'm still waiting on my video. What an absolute stinker. I'm sorry about that, Aoife. Also, to actually talking about things that are genuine. Mentioned to Lee Gooch at the start of the show, just selling a car at the moment. It's not my car, it's my son's car, but anyway, selling at the moment. Lovely car, by the way, if you're interested. But I listed it on Facebook Market, and maybe it's obvious or maybe it's not. But what happens is as soon as you list anything on Facebook Market, you get accounts that come in to have a conversation about the car. I'm not sure if it's real people or AI, but they ask good questions. What's the mileage? What's the least you could take? Where could I meet you? And it goes on and on and on and on. But I'm kind of privy to this anyway, and I was bored for a while yesterday. But eventually what they do is they say, right, I'll buy the car. I'll give you cash. I'll give you bank strap, whatever way you want the car paid for, they say that that's no problem whatsoever. But what they do is they say, I need you though to run a history check on the car. So it's the history of its servicing, whether there's any outstanding finance, etc. And they send you a link. And they say it's like 15 quid or whatever it might be. So the idea is that they've talked the talk, they've asked all the right questions, they've agreed to meet you, and the one last thing that they need you to do is just run a history check on your car and send that to them. And that's where they send you the link. It's an ADI, I think they call it. I can't remember exactly what it's called. But anyway, just in case you're advertising anything on Facebook, they will talk the talk. They're generally locked profiles, so that should be suspicious to begin with. But they will then ask you to fill out a URL to prove the authenticity of the car. And that's where they exploit your account and take your money. So just to be careful. As I say, I was aware of it. I'm just thinking maybe you're advertising a car for the first time or something of value. They talk the talk, right? And just at the point where, oh, and by the way, would you mind filling out this form just to run a history check on the car? And that's where they get you. So just be careful if you're advertising on Facebook. Done Deal and others seem to have better protections in place, but Facebook, it's the Wild West, really. So just in case, maybe I've saved someone a couple of quid, who knows? A caller says, my point about carers is that when we speak about issues such as domestic violence, we tend to give statistics about how many women are victims without any reference to the statistics for male victims. My point was that these types of statistics shouldn't be generalised. And I remember your comment from yesterday, and I do appreciate your follow-up comment. But it was me that just mentioned that. I'll tell you, just take the whole carers thing for an example. I just thought it was really quite remarkable, a remarkable statistic. And this is not to say men aren't carers. I've been a carer myself, so trust me, I know where you're coming from. I just thought it amazing that 1 in 3 women in their 40s and 50s, and it is specific to women in this case, are carers. I just think that's an awful lot of people. You know what I mean? So if you've got 6 sisters, 2 of them are probably carers, not literally, but statistically. And I just thought that is a stat that jumped out at me. But it doesn't in any way, even if 1 in 10 carers are males, it doesn't in any way underestimate the work that they do. We're not looking for gender-specific or sex-specific changes to the treatment of carers. I thought that was blooming remarkable. 1 in 3 women in their 40s or 50s, when you'd hope that, and they're probably very happy doing it, but you hope that maybe they've got a bit of space for themselves, that they find themselves caring. And doing so full of love and putting other people before themselves, and men doing that too. Hi. Often wondering, people talk about rent and what students have to pay, but go into any bar, public hotel, etc. And what age group are in the majority? Yep, students. So yes, rent may be high, but they can always afford to go out to socialise regularly. Yeah, but I mean, I get exactly where you're coming from, but like, you know, going to college or what have you, a bit of a rite of passage. I mean, we want them to have a social life and to grow and to make new friends and stuff. Because even if you contact MABs, say for instance you're in financial trouble and you contact MABs, they will always, when they're doing the budget for you, they will allocate a certain amount for you to have a life. You know, not go boozing and stuff, but, you know, to buy a pizza or to have broadband. It's generally accepted that, you know, part of not being poor is that you can actually exist as well, or live a little bit, not just exist. But I do take your point. More as it relates to landlords, rent, etc. It's very simple, Greg. The majority of landlords are heartless, greedy opportunists who take full advantage of their ability to hike up rent costs while the government do nothing to stop it. Well, the government would argue that's exactly what they're doing. A caller says, well said about the imbalance of giving one section of our society 800 or 600 euro towards their rent. Irish people can't compete with this and have to add in no road tax or NCT on their cars. Like you said, it's not begrudging to them, but give everyone a level playing field. Another high in relation to housing and landlords selling. I remember a few years ago, the government coming up with a plan that if a landlord was selling a house, that the local council could buy it and the tenants pay rent on a non-profit margin. I think this is called buying it tenant in residence or something along those lines. But this caller goes on to say it makes a lot of sense. No evictions, the council make their money back, and everyone's a winner. What happened to that being implemented? I think that's reliant too, though, on a budget from government to fund it. Honestly, an overpayment of pensions in this day and age, says a listener. This is off the back of for 20 years, civil servants and ministers have been mostly overpaid, some underpaid their pensions. In some cases, former high-ranking civil servants were getting an extra 280 grand put into their bank on top of their 2 million pension pot. So that's the context. If I got an overpayment of €10 in my widow's pension, I'd know it. Every public body should be audited independently and someone held accountable. I'm sure there's a lot of money going astray. And I was thinking about this last night, about this. So you have a situation where for 20 years, civil servants have been overpaid their pensions, and ministers, and some civil servants, for some it's like a tenner here or there, but for others, €280,000. I bet you there's some of you out there that a pension was paid to your mum or dad or your partner and they died, and then the payment continued for a week or two or three, and you got a letter saying that you needed to give that money back as you were dealing with your grief. I bet you that's happened to people out there, because I know I've spoken to people who have been in that position. So we have a system that goes after those that have been recently bereaved to refund 1, 2 or 3 weeks of a pension, which is pretty heartless in the throes of a loss. And yet for 20 years, the same people that are charged with running that system are getting overpaid and no one notices it. How can you get 280 grand into your bank account and not wonder, where did that come from? Crazy, crazy stuff. Right, a couple of things to mention. Paul McLaughlin will be in the garden after 11 a.m. taking your questions. Get them into me right now, 08660 25,000. And also, you're invited to the retirement of PJ and Magella Sweeney. It's at the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny. It's on Sunday, the 14th of June. Drinks reception at 7, dinner at 8. Tickets are €40 and available from the Mount Errigal Hotel reception. So it's not bad for a 3-course meal, is it? €40, including a drinks reception. And it's all to celebrate the retirement of PJ and Magella Sweeney.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 12th of June, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €6,800 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S19, it's game number 24. The jackpot number is 54. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 54, 29, 16, 72, 24, 19, 6, 67, 47, and finally 40. Phone your claim to 910-4833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
It's the 2025 World Chip Sizzle Freestyle Contest, and Charlie's Chips are in the lead again. They're coming up to the finishing pan, and Charlie's Chips are the 2025 World Champions. Sourced locally, hand-cut and freshly cooked, served with mouth-watering burgers, fresh battered fish or delicious chicken, plus a great selection of gluten-free options. Open Tuesday to Saturday 12 to 8 and every Friday for breakfast from 9. When the hunger hits, pull into Charlie's on Pierce Road, Letterkenny.
Exporter war drives weaning prices. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, we reveal why Irish cattle are being hoovered up by continental buyers. Record number of beef cattle sourced from controlled finishing units. Stay on top of the Fair Deal scheme. Reduce contributions for long-term care. And free Protecting Payments Supplement, your essential guide to protecting your farm payments. Ensure deadlines and targets are met. All you need to know about sheep, skeps, bists and nitrate schemes. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
Come celebrate the 20th anniversary Vintage Day in Kerrykiel this Saturday 14th. Enjoy a fantastic family day with live music, kids activities, butter making, mascots, stilt walkers, vintage cars and tractors, plus a fun-filled dog show. That's the Kerrykiel Vintage Day this Saturday from 12 noon at the church grounds in aid of church funds and local charities.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
You're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. 08660 25000 is the WhatsApp and text number, 08660 25000, or give us a call on 074 91 25000. Right, now I'm joined on the programme by former CEO of Northwest Tourism, Paul McClune. Good morning to you, Paul. Thank you so much for your time. How are you keeping?
Not bad, Greg. Good to talk to you again.
All right, okay. So I see a newspaper article which shows that the Rory Gallagher International Festival Organisation, they're launching crowdfunding campaign for the very survival of the festival in and of itself. Why aren't we seeing, sort of as a state and as tourism bodies, the benefits of these and helping these festivals out more so to ensure their survival?
Well, that's the whole problem. Like, I'm from Ballyshannon, might I say, and I want to commend the festival committee for having the initiative to go out and fundraise. But I formerly worked in tourism, so I'm thinking to myself, has it come to this, as a county like Donegal, that festivals have to go out and fundraise to exist, even though they're at the very heart of tourism in the county? So when I worked in tourism, it was Northwest Tourism. You might remember it, Greg, yourself. So at that time, there was strong representation from industry. Like, there was a lot of hoteliers, Patsy Doherty, Terry McNiff from Donegal, Noel McGinley from Self Catering, John Sweeney Restaurants, Kieran Brogan actually from the council. So they mandated the executive of Northwest Tourism to go chasing major festivals. We covered Cavan at the time as well and worked in partnership with Derry. We were able to attract the All-Ireland FLA to the wider Northwest region 8 times in 11 years, starting off in Letterkenny in 2005. We then brought the World Rally Championships to the Northwest 2007, 2009. You may recall the final stage was live on television in Donegal town. And at that time, the private and voluntary sector really responded well to this. You'll recall privately, Leonard Cohen, Westlife played Lissadell House in Sligo, which we were delighted about, funded by themselves in Lissadell. But at the time, what the board said to me is, now that you attract major festivals, you must nurture festivals within the region. And in particular, and I'm going to be specific about the South Donegal area, because we're talking about Rory Gallagher, Greg. At that time, the first Rory Gallagher Festival was in 2002. The first Sea Sessions was 2008. And the first Taste of Donegal Festival was also 2008. So we saw huge potential in those festivals. I went down as the executive, worked with them, went with them to get additional funding if they needed additional funding. And we just nurtured them. And then they grew to be 3 magnificent events for the region. And tourism is everyone's business in County Donegal, you know, be it the supplier of food, drinks, restaurants, hotels, you name it. It's a very important industry for the county. So it disappoints me hugely that one of our events is now out fundraising. Sea Sessions isn't happening at all. People are reacting and doing voice pops on radio. Isn't it terrible and all that? Everyone in South Donegal knew last Christmas that Sea Sessions wasn't going to happen. So my question, Greg, is why doesn't people get off their backsides and do something about it, not talk about it, not say, you know, we hope you're back next year. It's everyone's business to get this right, whether you're a civil servant, whether you're an elected representative. There's no point talking about it after the event.
But who's responsible, though? Because, you know, like... It sounds to me like there was a great deal of scrutiny and oversight of the work that you and others were doing back in the noughties, right? But I mean, you know, we're seeing 2 major events not going ahead this year. Whether they come back or not is in the balance. And Rory Gallagher having to get the begging bowl out. So, you know, like, can we pinpoint as to Under whose watch? Now, I'm not looking for a name, but you know what I mean? Under whose watch is this allowed to happen?
Well, it's Falch Ireland and Donegal County Council, to be specific. Like they've delegated some of the responsibility, the festivals, to the council. And Falch Ireland are putting in a 3-year strategy to fund festivals from 26 to 28. But the problem with that is one of the closing dates is May this year. So, for instance, if C Sessions hasn't applied because they were in a big trouble, so that we can say, will C Sessions happen again until 2029? So the people in the know should be rolling up their sleeves and doing something about it. And we have a municipal district in South Donegal, so I can't see why this isn't debated. What should happen is you go and you talk to the festivals. And it doesn't matter whose responsibility that we'd say it's an organisation. If I'm elected representative from South Donegal, I'd say this is a problem in my area. I'm going to go down, I'm going to talk to these festivals. And as they did in my time, like Sean McNiff was the chairman and Ray McSherry, we would have went to Dublin and kicked down doors to get the funding and not have our festivals gone out with begging bowls. So to me, it's not good enough. So the rise of momentum must happen within the county. We'll not start blaming anyone like we saw last year. Greg, I'm sure it was on your radio, where Pierce Doherty asked, who was then Taoiseach, Micheál Martin, wasn't it terrible about festivals? 2 of them, it was in June 2024. The Taoiseach agreed and said, we need a round table discussion. Like now, we're in June 2025, 2 festivals in my area are in one gone, one begging for money, and the Taste of Donegal, of course, with the difficulties it had. So it's dreadful.
Yeah.
So someone needs to do something about it. And I'm sick of them.
Yeah, but there has to be, Paul, there has to be an appetite to do something about it, right? If you, and I've kind of got a little bit of a taste of this in different areas, and I just wonder, there seems to be a great emphasis on online promotion, that is how you get tourists in, that you throw money at social media influencers, or you stick people in a camper van to drive around the county. All valid, don't get me wrong. My question would be, what level of commitment is there to festivals, or what do the likes of the council and the tourism agencies, do they see the benefit in them? Are they looking and going, do you know what, instead of giving that 60 grand to the Taste of Food Festival, what we'll do is we'll get 3 social media influencers to climb Errigal and tell everyone how great it is. Do you know what I mean? I think we need to dig down to what is the attitude towards festivals, and what's the business plan, what's the business model, who's our target demo, and so on and so forth.
Or maybe they'll give billions to Adair to get a bypass to host the Ryder Cup. The issue is, I'm talking about my hometown of Ballyshannon, which has very little going on in it. So the way to look at this, Greg, is let's take the festival out of there and you lose 4 million. It's the same with C Sessions in Bundoran. So it doesn't take rocket science to see the difficulty for small towns if they lose major events.
Yeah, but my point is, Paul, is Fulcher Ireland interested in the fact that Ballyshannon as a town is going to be 4 million down? If they're looking at how you attract numbers in, they're looking at key KPIs, etc. My question to you is do they see festivals as the big return? Because that's obviously, that has to be a factor, and maybe they don't. That was the point I was trying to make.
Yeah, you see, you've answered the question yourself. Do they care about Ballyshannon? Well, I bloody well do. But does enough people care about it? And that's the question that we must ask. And that's what I'm saying. If I was an elected representative, I would not allow this to happen. And if there's someone in Dublin or somewhere else doesn't care about Ballyshannon, well, that's not good enough. They shouldn't be in their job. This is a major festival for the country. Like, Rory Gallagher is an iconic figure. Like, the fact that we're talking about the Rory Gallagher Festival is nonsense for anyone in Dublin or anywhere else. And what you'll see is if Rory Gallagher's lost, the following year there'll be a major festival in Cork celebrating Rory Gallagher. So to me, it's not satisfactory, and there's no one can convince me that it is right.
Yeah, powerful stuff. And I don't think there's anyone could argue with in relation to this, because it also should be pointed out that obviously you're a very passionate, proud Ballyshannon man, but Ballysshannon's part of the wider county here, and we should all be batting as much as we would for Letterkenny, for Donegal Town, for Buncrana. We don't want Ballyshannon to feel that they have to fight this battle on their own. Paul, go ahead.
Finally,
yes.
Sorry, before you finish, Greg, I mentioned earlier about the flag Hill. The flag Hill hasn't been in Donegal in 20 years with our tradition of music. It was in Letterkenny last in 2006. So I saw Kieran Brogan as a man I admire a lot. I say he came in as mayor. It's in Ballina, by the way, 27, 28, Belfast next year. There should be an application put in to host. It takes a few years to prepare it anyway. But the flag should be brought back to County Donegal. As you mentioned, I'm also a passionate Donegal man. So that's a major event. And it signals to all event organisers in the county that the county's going for the big picture again. And we go applying for major events to be brought to Donegal.
All right, good stuff. Thanks, Paul. You wouldn't fancy coming out of retirement, no?
No.
Take care, Paul. God bless you. Thanks very much indeed. Paul McClune there. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. And I know lots of you in the Ballyshannon, Donegal Town, Bundoran area listening to us, and why wouldn't you? We are your local Donegal station. Well, give us a call, 086 60 25,000. Sorry, that's the WhatsApp. Give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Obviously very tongue-in-cheek yesterday. I was listening to an ad, and Burgerslaw was mentioned in the ad, and it just says, on a very light note, it kind of grinds my gears. And I put it out there as to what phrases annoy you. Stevie messaged in rosemantic. Now, I've never heard of that. I don't know what rosemantic means. I could Google it. Chillax is another one that grinds Stevie's gears. Chillax and brainstorming. They all do my nut in. If you've got any, let us know. 086 60 25,000. Appreciate that. Right, now, loads coming in on a very varying on our various topics. So really appreciate that. I'll catch up on some of those and much more after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Ready for sunshine? Fly EasyJet from Belfast International Airport to a range of holiday destinations including Tenerife, Amsterdam, the Algarve, Barcelona and many more, which you can find in Belfast International Airport's summer schedule. Don't miss out, book today with EasyJet. Find your destination inspiration.
TFI Local Link offers frequent, affordable and sustainable bus services, keeping rural communities in Ireland connected. Save up to 30% on fares when you use your TFI Leap card on eligible TFI Local Link services. For route and timetable information, visit transportforireland.ie.
The Irish Government is now covering the cost of HRT products and dispensing fees for all stages of menopause. There is no age-based eligibility for this, but you must have a prescription and be registered with the HSE Drugs Payment Scheme. For more info, GP. A message from the Government of Ireland. Terms and conditions apply. GP visit cost not included. Available at participating pharmacies.
Print Supplies and Frosses delivers managed print solutions that save you time and money. With remote servicing and local support, we take the hassle out of printers and photocopiers. Stay efficient, stay supplied. Email sales@printsupplies.ie today. Print smart, save money, trust local.
Fabric World's hot summer sale now on, with fabulous discounts on curtain and upholstery fabric and half-price pots in our garden department. Summer sandals and fashion from £10. Crafty deals, 3 fabric pieces for £12. And there's always great Euro rates at Fabric World, Maydown, Derry.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'd be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'd be them. 07491 43942.
Okay, a caller says, I got a smart meter last year. I'm happy with it. No more estimated readings. The bills have actually come down slightly. If I didn't allow the change to smart meter, I would have to pay for installation in the future. This would not be an insignificant amount. Okay, indeed. I have 2 Ukrainians living in my house. I get paid the €800. It's not means tested. It is dropping to €600 per month. Indeed, that's what I was saying. Right, now, let's say hello to Keane, Finn, Sean, 2 Seans in fact, Sean Judson, Sean Durkin, all 16 and 17-year-olds from Kildare, Laois, Kildare and Wicklow. Lads, good morning to you.
Well, hello.
How are you getting on? Where are you?
We're just in a petrol station in Tulla or something like that.
Brilliant stuff. Right, lads, you are undertaking a challenge, a massive challenge, in fact, walking from Mizenhead to Mallinhead. That's, of course, the southernmost part of Ireland to the northernmost port in Ireland. I'll ask you, Keane, first. Why?
Well, we were at break time at school, and all the lads were playing football, and we weren't really bothered that day. So we knew summer was coming up, and we had time in our hands, so we were like, sure, like, what would we do? So we decided to take on a challenge from walking to Mizen to Malin, and we said if we were to do it, we'll raise money for a good cause.
All right, Finn, you're setting yourself a short time frame to do this. Talk to me about that.
Sorry, what did you say?
You're doing this in just 2 weeks.
Yeah, we said to people that we could try do it in 2 weeks, and we are on track for our goal. So yeah, it's been really good.
And what's it been like? Obviously, there's 4 years you can chat, but what's the experience been like so far?
It's been good. We've had people pulling over and like supporting us and giving us refreshments and beeping the horn. So it's been really good.
Good stuff. Sean Judson, also from Kildare, 17. Why are you doing it? Why are you raising money, and why did you choose this charity?
We chose this charity because everyone here and anyone in their lives almost knows someone that's been affected by cancer or has been involved in cancer, and it's just, we're lucky enough to be able to do this, and I think it's perfect charity to do it for. So yeah.
And you've had good support. We heard there from Finn about people pulling over and all that kind of stuff. But of course, you've had to look after accommodation and stuff as well. You've been looked after, have you, along the way in that regard?
Yeah, we've been quite lucky with a lot of hotels offering us 3 nights, and Sean's family up in Sligo giving us a couple of free nights there with their houses and stuff like that. So giving us food, accommodation. So it's been really, really good.
Sean Durkin, I mean, the one thing about cancer is that, we all end up being affected by it. 1 in 2 of us get it, but we all have someone close to us often that gets cancer. So, I mean, even at your young age, we're not immune to the effects of cancer.
Yeah, I know. You've got to stay safe when it's going to be like try to prevent cancer with like sunscreen and stuff like that. Skin cancer is also very susceptible to coming in at a young age as well.
Yeah, good advice. All right, lads. Keane, I'll go back to you. Where are you now? And what are you going to be doing today? You're hoping to get into Letterkenny today, are you? Or where? Give us the timeline of your trip through Donegal.
We're currently in Tulla in a petrol station in Leitrim, and tonight we're lucky enough to be staying at the Loch Ness Castle. They put us up for a night, so
all right.
We're going to be making our way in that direction. So that's kind of the motivation for today. We've probably another 30 odd kilometres to do today, and then we've got a nice stay in the Loch Ness. So we're all looking forward to it.
Right, you're really improving the situation in terms of accommodation. And Sean Judson, then it's on through Letterkenny and then up to Malin. You hope to be in Malin on Sunday, and I suppose if people see you along the way, toot the horns and what have you, but more importantly, maybe stop and make a donation if it's safe to do so.
Yeah, hopefully that's the kind of the goal, to reach about €30,000 for the Irish Cancer Society. But if it goes over, that's even better.
All right, lads, well done. Stay safe. Thanks so much for joining us. That was Sean Marquis, 16 from Kildare, Finn Craig, 17 from Laois, Sean Judson, 17 from Kildare, Sean Durkin, 17 from Wicklow. They're in Leitrim at the moment. They're going to make it to Loch Ness Castle this evening. Then that's sort of so they're going to go through Letterkenny today, which is just a little bit south of Barnasmore Gap, if you know where that is. Then Thursday into Letterkenny for Friday and on to Malin on Sunday, raising money for cancer charities there and raising cancer awareness as well. Fair play to them. Re-smart meters, says a listener. As far as I remember, unless you notified the ESB that you didn't want a smart meter, they would assume you did and proceed accordingly. If your meter is indoors, then they have to have your permission. Otherwise, they'll go ahead. Yeah, indeed. My letter was effectively saying we're going to do it on this date. And as we heard from the gentleman who was on with us, it's presumed consent, really, I suppose. So unless you contact them and say no, then it will be installed. Hello, Greg. Hello, Noel. That's Noel Cunningham. We were talking about weddings. I think when it comes to the meal, is it necessary for a 7-course meal? I think overeating is unhealthy and not to be encouraged. We have my wife's nephew next month and my brother's daughter in September, as well as another niece in London next year. That comes in from Pat. 3 weddings. Wowzers. Okay. Well, it depends where you go. I don't recall having 7 courses at a wedding, so you must be really living it up. A caller says there's a system called Dremaster, which is installed in the attic, which sorts mold very effectively. Google for information, reinstallation. Okay, Dremaster, never heard tell of that. My heart goes out to the lady you had on the show yesterday looking for a house. Come on, TDs and councillors, please look after her. That was Caroline who was on with us. Worth listening back to that interview. Not everyone can listen to every hour. She was diagnosed with lung cancer very recently. Her husband had an accident and is off work. He can't work no longer. They're currently in a somewhat affordable accommodation, but their landlord has told them that they have to be out at the end of November. Now, Caroline, with her cancer diagnosis and her husband being incapacitated, they've been told by the council, look, you're not going to qualify for a house. Don't even bother trying because you're just wasting your time, which is heartbreaking and very discouraging, of course. And she was on with us yesterday, and the first words said, you're my last chance, Greg. And what that means is we're her last chance. It's not me, it's all of us. Caroline, did we make any inroads in relation to Caroline yesterday? No, Caroline's on a call. But we'll keep you updated if anything comes of that. I live in Ardna, Glaskill, McCrennan in social housing. I'm a pensioner. It is inappropriate for me as a pensioner. It's a nightmare to live here with young people, the noise and footballs, etc. But, that's the problem. It's kind of subjective because there are certain pensioners who would love to be around that, and not feel isolated or out in the sticks. What about the millions Donegal County Council wasted on the road in Letterkenny, leaving it worse than before, and are now going to spend more millions trying to improve it and almost certainly fail again, yet they're allowing people to go homeless? Well, I think the funding you're talking of is TII, but I think I take your wider point. Of course I do there. Rubbish, Greg. The government are not genuinely trying to reduce rental like the defective block scandal. They just introduce a scheme that they know will not work, but think that they are fooling the people into believing they're solving the problem. Well, listen, I never said it's going to work. Like, I'm open to sort of see how it plays out. But firstly, it's going to take a while to introduce rent pressure zones across the country. So landlords may now be forced into upping their price, right? If they up it now before the rent pressure zone is introduced, presumably they can lock it in then at the higher rate. So very interested in if any of your landlords have come to you in the last 24 hours talking about increasing your rent. WhatsApp us 086 60 25,000. But also, the whole idea of this is to release caps for new properties. And the whole idea of that is that there is more investment from pension funds and all that type of stuff. But how does that deliver cheaper rents? And I think actually Owen O'Brien, and I didn't pick up on it at the time, that might make more property, more apartments, more flats available in Dublin or Galway or Limerick, and still, even if there's more, the whole idea is that there's more money in it for investors to come in and make money from rent. How does that drive rents down, especially in rural Donegal? It's hard to see it, but as I say, I'm still open to seeing more of the policy and to see how all that works. Right, I beg your pardon, Sarah, for holding you there. I didn't see you on the line. My apologies. I thought I was going to you after the break. Sorry for delaying you. Good morning, Sarah. Are you there, Sarah? No, in fact, I've lost Sarah. That's my fault. I just didn't see that slip of paper, which was where it was put. Okay, we might get Sarah back, but we'll certainly have another guest after these.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Fly EasyJet from City of Derry Airport to Edinburgh, Liverpool, or now from the 1st of September, Birmingham. Book now at easyjet.com. Get out there.
There's any number of new cars out there, but do the numbers add up? With the stylish Peugeot 2008, Fastback 3008 and spacious 5008 electric and hybrid range, they really do. You'll enjoy up to €1,500 trade-in bonus, a free 3-year service plan, a 5-year warranty and a free home charger. Order your 252 Peugeot today at McGinley Motors, your main Peugeot dealer in County Donegal. Offer ends June 30th. Terms and conditions apply.
Indulge yourself with friends or a loved one at the Spa at Orchids at the Holyrood Hotel in Bundoran. A midweek or weekend spa break is the perfect way to escape from life for a while. Take a leisurely walk along the Atlantic coast. Enjoy a dip in our private pool, a plunge in our Canadian hot tub, and treatments of your choice before dining in one of the Holyrood Hotel's acclaimed restaurants. The Spa at Orchids. Book now at holyroodhotel.com.
Join me, Marty Friel, every Friday night from 8 for Rockin' Hits on Highland Radio in association with Arena 7. Enjoy laser quest, soft play, darts or a game of pool before dining in their fast food diner or family restaurant. See arena7.ie.
Experience. Experience Donegal v Mayo this Sunday in round 3 of the All-Ireland Football Championship at 4 p.m. in Roscommon. The GAA Football All-Ireland Senior Championship. Experience the unforgettable. Sponsored by Allianz, AIB and SuperValue. Advanced ticket sales only at GAA.ie or selected Centre and SuperValue stores. GAA, where we all belong.
Highland Radio weather updates with McInness. Find all your summer essentials from fashion and accessories to beauty and homeware at McInness. Explore more in-store or shop online at mcilhennies.com today.
So today, wet with outbreaks of rain along with the risk of some thunderstorms, and there is the potential for localised surface flooding. Humid, temperatures 16 to 18 degrees. Sarah, sorry about that. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining me.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Right now,
Great, sir.
Talk to me. Is this about your mum?
Yes, this is in relation to the CARES allowance that I applied for my mum. Now, my mum's passed away 15 months ago.
I'm sorry to hear that, Sarah.
Yeah, well, we miss her terribly. But when I was applying for, because mum was full-time care, we were doing it at home. So I was the one in the family that was kind of mummy's advocate and could do, was in a place where I could help out the most. So I applied for the carers allowance. I was reluctant at the start, but I did after a year or so, just to help out with other private carers and stuff that we had employed. And what I was awarded anyway was €95 a week. That's what I was awarded after being means tested. A very invasive procedure. They even wanted my PayPal account.
Right, to make sure that you don't have extra money sitting in it, or you're not buying things left, right, and centre. Wow, that's that's pretty intrusive, all right.
Very intrusive.
And it's everyone in the house, isn't it? So you might expect your partner, but if you've any children, I think they also look for information on them, don't they?
Yes, my son is a nurse, and he was in full-time employment.
Yeah.
Now I had to give all his financial income details. Yes. My husband's, who is a teacher, had to give up. Now I had to ask, I had to get consent from them. I am giving all your financial details to this institution. And this is my mother. Not I know she's Dylan's granny and my husband's mother-in-law, but that was between me and my mother.
Yeah.
To have to give details of them was pretty invasive for them. And look, they were very good and they let me do it. But the means testing is terrible. Only way. And the thing was, my mum went in, now she'd been in and out of hospital throughout her time. But the last time she went in on a Saturday morning, and she actually passed away on Wednesday morning. Quite quick, sudden, right, whatever. So, as I do everything right, I informed them right away, because I don't want any hassle with them or whatever. So I informed them right away. And they asked me, how many nights was she in?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, she went in 4 nights. She was in 4 nights. And as she wasn't in my care for those 4 nights, even though I was with her continuously for the 4 nights, they wanted the refund.
Ah, my word.
Yeah, they wanted the refund.
So how soon after your mum passed were you having this back and forth with them?
Immediately.
Wow. They knew your mum had died, though?
Yes. Oh, yes, they were very apologetic and empathetic.
But they were looking for the money back because the hospital was providing that emergency care at that time. They were looking for you to refund them the money they say you received because you weren't caring for your mum. The hospital was. Wow.
Yes, absolutely. The four nights. Now I had back and forth them, and I would be quite vocal. I can't believe it. I just lost my mum. As it ended up, they didn't get the refund of whatever it was going to be. I don't know, because I was only getting €95 a week.
It's 28 quid or something. Probably
yeah.
less. My word.
Probably less.
But see, this is the point I was making a little earlier on, because I've come across stuff like this before. A similar department for 20 years has been overpaying pensions to civil servants, overpaying some civil servants by 280 quid, and yet they're after you literally just after your mum died for less than 30 quid.
Yes.
I was going to say it's unbelievable, but nothing's unbelievable nowadays. Everything's blooming believable.
No, nothing's unbelievable. But that's the sort of system they work. And then you get 6 weeks after they pass away. And they give you these things like bus passes.
Yeah, they want it all back.
Yeah. Yeah, immediately done. Not that I ever used it, but return it. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So cool.
No, because you're going to be flying around the country with your free bus pass, like. It's crazy stuff.
Yes.
Come here, Sarah. You're a great advocate for your mum, even in her passing. Did you get your tenaciousness from your mum?
Oh, yes, Mum. My mum was some little lady.
You wouldn't get one over her, would you?
No, you would not.
Nor would I like to try and get one. And what was her name, Sarah, if you don't mind me asking?
My mummy's name is Jeannie.
Okay.
Jeannie Elliott.
God rest Jeannie Elliott. Of course, we always love our mums. We lose them, but we never lose them. They're always there. I'm sure they're always there in one form or other. The amount of times I still go when I'm curious about something to pick up my phone to WhatsApp my mum is crazy. It still happens. Happens.
Oh yeah, every day.
But that's good, isn't it, Sarah? That means they're so important to us, and we'll never forget them. Listen,
they're always with us.
Thank you so much for outlining the craziness of our system and the inequity in it as well, Sarah. God bless you. Thank you so very much indeed, and thinking on Jeannie as well. Greg, it's the government not giving grants to help these festivals. They want to kill off tourism. Oh, I don't know. I would never subscribe to the fact that they want to kill off tourism. The point I was trying to put to Paul McClune is that, I believe they target a certain type of tourist. And I believe, too, they use certain demographics or tools to do that, right? So high-value tourism is seen as golf, for an example. Huge amount of effort in terms of golf, promoting golf. And I'm not saying for a second that shouldn't happen. But do they sort of go, right, well, that 100K can go on trying to get, a couple of Americans to land in the area in helicopters and spend 100 grand. Do you know what I mean? So I that's what I would have been that's what I'm curious to dig into, to sort of see, well, where does a food festival or where does a music festival sit in the priority list when they're arguing on the festival's behalf to go Dublin for funding? Does that make sense? 2 weeks ago, I renewed my TV license, says a listener. Do you remember when people didn't do that? Well, we're back doing it again. 2 weeks ago, I renewed my TV licence, €160. I find myself listening to the radio to hear match coverage. We're back to the Stone Age, having to listen to our local radio to hear about the GEA. Sorry, I know the point you're trying to make. Stone Age. But anyway, they say so many people are involved in the upkeep of GEAT, grass coaching, etc. They aren't paid. How do people have to pay to watch their local teams after all they give? Shame on the GEA. I would like Jarlath Burns to come on and explain himself. Well, you also too have to pay for GEA Plus if you want to see the other games. But I think we're at the cutting edge, not the Stone Age, but I think I take your point. Greg, I had a car for sale last year on Dundeel, and the amount of these messages asking for a car check was unreal. Okay. I just haven't experienced it ever on Dundeel, but bombarded with them on Facebook. And I'll be honest with you, I actually did say to one of them, I says, I know you've a job to do. It's terrible, right? But anonymously, would you chat to me for the radio and just tell me, I'd love to know where they're based, even if you wouldn't give that information. How many contacts do they make a day? How successful are these contacts? How much money are they getting off people? But he wouldn't bite, or she wouldn't bite, and told me to F off and blocked me. Regarding pensions underpayment, the government will do everything to keep money away from you. We work here all our lives, and anything we try to get in return is made very difficult. People come into the country and get handed everything for free, and they don't have to prove anything, believes that listener.
Highland Bakery brings the magic to your morning tea break. Golden scones, still warm, soft in the middle and impossible to resist. Look for the packet with the rabbit on it. Fresh from the oven to your local shop. 25 years of Highland Bakery.
Charge into summer with TUI. Secure your holiday today with savings for families and adults flying from Dublin, Cork and Shannon. Holiday sorted. TUI. Live happy.
Hybrid, plug-in hybrid, electric. Don't get confused. Get excited with Toyota, Ireland's best-selling car brand. At Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny and Mount Charles, you get the power of choice. There's our wide range to see, including the Toyota CHR and the all-electric BZ4X, with power-up boosters of up to €3,000 and flexible payment options available. So order now at Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Toyota, built for a better world. T's and C's apply. Best-selling claim based on latest figures.
New store, new project. Your new B&Q and TradePoint Letterkenny is now open. Dreaming of a garden glow-up, fresh colour for your walls, or a new kitchen? Whatever you need for your next home improvement project, we're here to help at your new B&Q Letterkenny. Find us at Unit 4 Letterkenny Retail Park, Neil T. Blaney Road. We're open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday. You can do it when you B&Q it.
Brian McCormick Sports. New Hoka trainers in-store and online. Try the new Clifton 10, even softer as you take every stride. New range of colours for men and women. Different widths to suit your feet. Bondi 9. New colours for men and women. Take the Hoka challenge and see what fits you best. If you're road running or walking, maximise your comfort and support at Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny.
Discover the hidden gem of Letterkenny, La Papa Kitchen and Coffee House. Indulge with friends in delicious Buddha bowls, pastas, light bites and organic coffee. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Remember the name, La Papa, located next to KO Fitness and McInness Furniture on the Joe Bonner Road. Open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Friday, 10 until 2 on Sundays. Closed Saturday and Sunday of Rally Weekend.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today. The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Loads coming up, including us stepping into the garden with Paul to answer your gardening questions, but at 11 a.m. Let's get that news update. It's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Health Minister says Letterkenny University Hospital needs to be developed as a campus in a similar way to Galway. Minister Jennifer Carroll McNeill was speaking to Greg Hughes this morning following her meeting with Donegal representatives last night as they made the case to see the surgical hub located in Donegal. Sligo has been proposed as the preferred location for the facility. The Minister's yet to receive a business case for Letterkenny but says she will scrutinise it. Meanwhile, GP Dr Padraig McInness, who's part of a delegation of healthcare workers to meet with the Minister next week, says if the Minister does not then announce a surgical hub for Letterkenny after considering what they present to her, the campaign is likely to take to the streets. An Air India flight heading to London Gatwick has crashed in Ahmedabad. Local police say at least 242 people are on board, and it's come down in a civilian area near the airport. Flight radar signals were lost less than a minute after takeoff this morning. Footage on social media shows huge clouds of black smoke billowing into the sky. Letterkenny University Hospital was the third most overcrowded in Ireland this morning. INMO's Trolley Watch figures revealed that there was 26 patients waiting for a bed to become available, 12 of whom were in the emergency department. University Hospital Limerick was the most overcrowded at 110, followed by University Hospital Galway at 66. Another 9 police officers have been injured in a third night of violence on the streets of Ballymena and County Antrim. 6 arrests have been made. There were protests in several parts of Northern Ireland, some mainly peaceful and others resulting in violence. And finally, yellow thunderstorm warnings are in place for most of the country this morning. 20 counties, including all of Leinster, are at risk of localised flooding, poor visibility and lightning damage. The warning will be lifted in Donegal at 5 o'clock this evening. That's all for now. Back with more news headlines at 12 o'clock.
Donna Marie, thank you.
Text or WhatsApp your view to Greg on 086 60 25,000.
When the button comes off your jacket and you miss the bottom step of the stairs and then your bus and someone throws out your lunch and the boss needs help opening a PDF and your housemate wants to have a formal meeting about the electricity bill, you need a Cadbury snack. There's something about the delicious combination of smooth chocolate and crunchy biscuit that puts you in the mood for messing. And while we stand over the taste, Cadbury Snack is not responsible for any tomfoolery or jiggery-pokery that may occur in the process. Cadbury Snack. Start your messing.
Right, so Caroline was on with us yesterday, and we have a little bit of positive news. Councillor Thomas Sean Devine visited Caroline last night and said that he would get in touch with Charles Ward TD to see what he can do. So that's positive, isn't it? It's been elevated to the Dáil level. And a lady's also been in touch and offered a house at a reduced rental rate. So Caroline said to us that we were her last hope. So maybe there is hope now. So we appreciate the efforts of Thomas Sean Devine and Charles Ward escalating that. Listen, the bottom line is that someone suffering from lung cancer in our county with a husband that can't work, can't be made homeless at the end of November in the mouth of Christmas. She's desperate. She needs to worry about herself and being as healthy as she can be. And at the moment, that's impossible. And as I say, we're also dealing with the lady who's been in touch to offer the house a reduced rental rate. And I'll tell you, if that comes off, whoever has offered that house is a living angel. And I hope if you're listening, you know that as well. Right, let me see. I'm on the line now with John. Hi, John.
Good morning, Nick.
Now, you were on the roads, that fixed camera in Newtown on the Newton Road. People would be familiar with it at this stage. What happened?
Getting Cunningham. Oh, well, I had to go on to Derry, and I didn't know till Monday morning. I got the summons on, the fine. I got the fine on. 160 euro, and if I didn't pay it with 3 or 4 weeks or something, I'd go up to 240. So I went and paid it yesterday, and I was 8 kilometres over the speed limit on 100 zones. When you know that road yourself, I was saying it now.
Oh yeah, I do indeed, John. Yeah.
I see some kind of yellow box there up, and like nobody knows about it. And how many people did you know catch that box already? You're only allowed to do 2 kilometres over the 100.
You were 8
You know, how can you judge a car dead on like it?
So
you know, like
John, like I don't want to be cruel, but you say yourself you were over the limit. On what basis might you appeal it, if you know what I mean? Like, I know you're asking that, but how do you believe it to be unfair?
Well, like you're not going to be watching your hand all the time, and that's a big broad road. You know what I mean? times you will. I wouldn't hardly go over 90 miles an hour at any time, but I was going on to Health Hospital because I had to be there at such a time. I can't even mind now the time as down. I had to be on there on time. They sent me on down to the Altnagalvin because I got an operation done on my head. And I went to Letterkenny to see, because there's a bit of scabbing now come on it again. And they said I had to go back to Altnagalvin where I got the operation done.
Right.
With 2 tumours removed.
Okay.
And
I'm sorry
I didn't know nothing. I got the summer sun.
Yeah, I'm sorry that you're going through your health issues, but the question you're asking listeners, do they believe it's fair? Is there any way to appeal it? Sure, listen, we'll put it out there, John. Thank you very much for joining us. Any views in relation to that 08660 25,000? You're so right, Minister, says the listener. You need to really find out why the ED is like that and delayed discharges. This is a priority. And you're right, no need for a surgical hub. Need to look after the patients that are in, as this is not happening in the current situation. There's no calibre in Letterkenny to sort it out. You are right. Need a new management structure to look at what's going on in the hospital. No matter how much money you give the hospital, who's going to put it to good use? I'm not sure the Minister sort of said all of that, but I do take your point and I do appreciate it. The hub has no impact on the hospital at all. Skilled nurses in there could do with them in the hospital, as skills mix so poor in the hospital. We all know that the hub depleted the hospital of their skilled nurses. Well, we've only got one up and running, so I'm not sure we know that. But look, that's a different point of view. All are welcome. In fact, I'll invite you to send them in 08660 25,000. Right. How can we show our strength or our support, for the need for Letterkenny University Hospital surgical hub before and after the meeting? It's the least we need. I drive my 84-year-old mother 2.5 hours to Sligo for macular degeneration injections monthly. LUH is an hour from us. Now, I'm not sure such services might be provided. How do you provide your support now? Well, I suppose in the first instance, you can email the Health Minister. I'll get her email for you and read it out a little later on. But I suppose if you trust the medical professionals, and why wouldn't you, there may come a time where you're going to be asked to go out into the streets. And maybe that's probably where you can hold the fire and really show your support. A caller says, we can't staff the hospital properly. How would we staff a surgical hub as well? Well, it's all interconnected, you see. And I think there's been good work done over the last wee while to sort of help us understand a little bit better about how a hospital is run. You know, there's an awful lot of locum staff there, which is complicating the process in terms of attracting full-time workers and getting surgeries done. There's a historic underfunding. There's so many things going on. But a surgical hub won't fix that, but it might make it more attractive to attract full-time consultants, which would allow surgeries to go through, which would better ensure the future of the hospital. I hope I've made a little bit of sense there. Paul McLaughlin of Ballochdur Garden Centre is with us. Hi, Paul. Good morning. How are you keeping?
Not so bad.
Are you not bringing your guests in so they can sit over there and watch it?
My apprentices.
Hi, what? Yeah. Come on in. Come on in. That's all right. I'm not going to speak to you. You can come in and see Dad in action. Is it just the one?
Yes, just the one.
Sit over here, look. And just there's no point standing looking in the window. Yeah. Your apprentices for the summer, you're lumped with. I mean, you have the pleasure of the company for the summer now.
Exactly. So, yes, Robin, she's finished secondary.
What's her name?
Robin.
Robin, how are you?
I'm good.
Good stuff. You're in with your daddy today. I've just called you in to say hello. What do you think about the work he does? Are you interested in horticulture and all that kind of stuff?
It's not the worst.
It's not the worst. It's growing. It's early doors.
Yeah.
What age are you?
I'm 14.
Well, we've ages to convince you into the family business.
Exactly. That's right. I've been at that since I was about 13 or so.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that's about time she started.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, listen. The summer. It's amazing as you get older, the more you soak stuff up. Then too. Like the difference between 13 and 14 and 14 and 15 is massive. It's a funny old weather pattern we're seeing at the moment, isn't it? I mean, they're saying it's humid. I'm not really feeling humidity.
No, funny. There are a lot of, especially evenings now. You'd want the heating on the house.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a bit warmer at night. There's a bit of moisture around, and when the sun comes out, it's hot, right? So what does that mean for growth? The lawns are. So I got a bit of grass seed from you. Did I get it from you?
Yeah.
I didn't.
No,
I got the plant pots from you.
Yes, I
got the grass seed somewhere else. Sorry, but it was doing nothing. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, boom.
Yes. No, the bit of moisture and the bit of warmth definitely sort of green stuff like the grass, and that's growing away. So it is. Whereas
she's had enough.
I think so.
Good luck.
Where now the grass and stuff like that's growing well, but the likes of the flowers aren't performing maybe.
Why
as
is
well
that? Do you
as
think?
It's just the sunshine is the one as much as anything else. So it is flowers to produce copious amounts of flowers. They need a lot of sunshine, a lot of light, and it's just not there at the minute. But hopefully it'll be along.
Yeah, well, there's very little rain forecast for next week.
Yes.
And plenty of sunshine, so we'll see.
We'll live in hope.
The day before yesterday, actually, it was when I was talking about an NCT. I was coming back from the NCT, and like the moon doesn't change size, but when it's closer to the horizon, it seems bigger.
Yes.
Right? So it's an optical illusion, I presume. I still don't really know how it works. But it was almost like the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And I think last night even more so. This is called, what, the strawberry moon?
A strawberry moon, apparently. It's... Basically, it was Native American culture started, I think, was their wild strawberries came out. They're ripened around the start of June. And so whenever that was happening, they named the moon after that. But because of the place it is in the sky, the full moon at the start of June always tends to be quite pinkish. So probably reminded people of strawberries, if you know what I mean.
So this is separate then to the no, it's not separate actually, because we're being impacted by smoke from American wildfires at the moment, and I think they were saying that sort of enhances the pinkness of it. So the pink moon's there anyway, and then we have these fires that's what they were on about in the news, right?
Aye. So no, but generally that moon tends to be pinker than normal just because of where it is in the sky.
And there is a bumper year of strawberries at the moment too, apparently. What's happening there?
No, seeding was like the British farmers yesterday put out, I think it's the tunnel grown strawberries. Generally most strawberries are grown inside now, but the good weather had just the optimum time for the strawberries to produce good strawberries. So long and short of it, they're reckon the crop's up 20%, and the actual berries themselves are coming out 20% bigger than they normally would.
Yeah,
so
I had 2 strawberries the other day. Ashley handed them to me, and the first one was like kind of bitter, and then the second was so delicious and sweet, and both on exterior looked the exact same.
Yeah.
It just go. I suppose it's nature, right? It's not a. There's only a certain amount of control you can have over the product, but I was just fascinated that they look the same, but 2 very different taste experiences.
I think the sweetness a lot of the times is sunshine.
Yeah,
actually develops the sweetness. So maybe one was sort of hidden under a leaf or something like that, if you know what I mean. But no, it is crazy that the consistency mightn't be just the same all.
And it's not surprising, I suppose, even with like coffee, altitude plays a massive difference in the taste of coffee, I'm told. Right, now, Tidy Towns, you've been involved with that for an awful long time, and we want to talk about one particularly dedicated individual.
Yes, just I saw the news there during the week there. Charlie Grant, I'm sure a lot of people know him around the town there. Charlie is an absolute, probably stalwart, probably the word, of the Tidy Towns in Letterkenny. And I see the council.
He's the Jim McInness of Tidy Towns.
Pretty much, right? Yes, he is. So what do you go? No,
the Roy Keane of Tidy Towns.
But no, I want to just pass on my congratulations to Charlie, because the council have actually awarded him a civic reception,
which is
fantastic, just in recognition of his view or of his contribution to the town. But I know he's quite a modest man, so I'd say he's actually. He wouldn't have sought it by any means.
Yeah, no, I know exactly, but hopefully he can enjoy it as well. I know some people like to operate outside of the spotlight, but hopefully when they do get the recognition, they can enjoy it
exactly.
as well.
But no, sort of want to pass on my congratulations to Charlie for have 2 things here. I'd be well, the garden centre, obviously we work closely with him, but actually I'm on the board down there at Errigal College as well.
Okay, cool.
And Charlie actually plays a big role down there in terms of what the students there. But he sort of through his work, he's encouraging the next generation to come on. So he is, it's very important. So just
and I think too, the likes of Charlie and the many others that work in Tidy Towns groups across the county, and people wake up if you're a late starter. People wake up driving to work at 8:30, and their local village is clean.
Yes,
and it's not happening by magic.
No,
right?
Exactly.
In a lot of cases, there's someone out with the picker and the bag. Out at the crack of dawn and what have you, and a lot of this work goes on really unheralded, doesn't it?
Yes,
and they're fantastic. The crews in the Tidy Towns.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're around Letterkenny on a Sunday morning, there you see there are people out everywhere. Their yellow jackets on them picking away.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Right, now we can talk about summer flowers, can't we?
Yes, absolutely. Most of the summer,
but we need to look after them.
Yeah, pretty much. Sort of weather like this is very easy to get complacent. Like if you check them every few days and they don't want water,
then you complacent. Yeah,
have you? So are they coming on all right?
No, everything's grand, but I'm just being honest. You realise that you haven't really monitored how much rain has fallen, and you haven't checked them in 2 or 3 days. That kind of stuff.
Exactly. Even if you get into the habit of checking them every few days and they don't want nothing, then it's very easy to actually just forget about them for a while. So it's important not to become complacent. And now's the time, because they're not getting the adequate sunshine that they want to flower up properly. Be important to give them wee feed, maybe.
Yeah.
We touch a miracle grow at this stage. Should
Brilliant
replace that energy they're not getting from the sun.
What have I got here, by the way?
You've got a wee miniature calla lily.
Calla lily?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do you got? Generally, people would know them, probably the big white ones, the peace lilies you'd see in people's gardens. They're sort of producing more and more colours, if you know what I mean. But for anybody just as an introduction to garden, like I said, they're very good in the sense that works as a house plant and it works outside.
Okay.
So you keep it in the house now, you can start looking at it and then stick it in the garden
Yeah.
and it'll go on and on.
How big would that get in the garden?
Eventually, there are sort of more miniature ones you'd be chatting maybe 2 feet.
Okay.
So they would. But nice splash of colour and they come in a lot of interesting colours, like the one sort of dark purple we would call it.
But wedding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking with a wedding, if you wanted to... You remember, we often get questions about people wanting to add a splash of colour.
Yeah.
There seems to be quite a bit of then... If the bridesmaids are in purple, for example, you could have a 5 purple ones surrounding a white one, sort of thing. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Right. Cool. We talk about deadheading, something like that. There, I'd be reluctant to go in there and deadhead that.
No, deadhead that because it's like I say, deadheading you're encouraging more flowers, but the sort of as the flower sort of goes mushy and that it would fall down inside it.
It's just these flowers seem more integral than sometimes the ones are on the end. Yeah. Okay. Beautiful thing. And are they resilient?
Yeah, they would be resilient, all right. So they would slugs would be fond of them out in the garden, if you know what I mean. But no, they'd be quite resilient. People are more familiar with the bigger white ones.
Yeah.
Which have been sort of staple for like.
Do you know what I don't have is indoor plants? I might get on that. You might be seeing me again soon.
No, indoor plants, I reckon, they're not a benefit.
What's the story with this? Who owns it?
Oh, it's yours now.
Yeah.
There, see, we're getting you started already.
That's all right. I don't need to go and see you.
I brought Caroline one as well.
Oh, did you? Lovely stuff. At least mine will survive. You'd need to be bringing her a cactus or something if you want any hope of its survival. I must take a very quick break. We'll do a wee bit more about what we can be doing about in the garden, and then we've got some questions. Do you mind holding?
No, perfect.
All right. So if you want to ask, Paul a question, you need to get in real quick. 086 60 25,000.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
The 9 till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today. At Warehouse Bar and Kitchen, Main Street, Letterkenny, you'll find mouth-watering food and drinks served 7 days a week. Great deals with Tuesday Burger Night, Thursday Steak Night, Fizzy Friday and Weekend Brunch. There's live music every weekend and the perfect spot for your private parties. Follow Warehouse Bar and Kitchen on social media for specials and updates.
Getting your first electric car is like meeting your partner's family for the first time. Nerves are normal. You were stressed about awkward silence with her dad. Now you chat for hours about sport. You worried her mum wouldn't like you. Now she likes you better than her own son. Likewise, once you experience how great an EV can be, you'll never look back, especially if it's a Skoda. Order your electric Enyaq or Elrock today.
Skoda.
Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clare Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396.
Books a bit messy? Payroll giving you headaches? Big Red Cloud, in partnership with Donegal Education and Training Board, is offering free online training courses in bookkeeping and payroll. Perfect for small business owners, startups, or even accountants looking to support their clients. The courses are flexible, certified, and designed for real-world needs. Visit bigredcloud.com/training to sign up. Free, certified, and at your own pace. Brought to you by Donegal ETB.
Happy Father's Day!
This Father's Day, choose Dior, Paco Rabanne, Yves Saint Laurent, Jimmy Choo, Lacoste. Choose McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. Great gifts for great dads. Click mcgees.ie.
We love you, Dad!
A person is seeking a lift from Letterkenny to Buncrana Monday to Friday and return journey. Prefer morning and evening times. Happy to share fuel costs. Reliable, easy going. Please get in touch on 085 129 8593.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
Okay, 20 minutes past 11. I'm with Paul McLaughlin, not talking gardening, talking about selling cars and buying cars. So we talked about dead heading flowers. It might feel like counterintuitive, but you don't want them falling in or hogging the stem. Dead heading it revitalizes the plant. You talked about slugs being a threat to the plant that you so kindly brought in to us. Is it? But if we do sort of start getting particularly sort of wet, moisture type air and heat, that sounds like it could, boost the growth of bugs and things like that.
Yeah, that very much brings on the way to slugs. They enjoy that sort of warm, damp weather, if you know what I mean. So it does increase the population because they hatch out in the optimum time, if you know what I mean. So there are a few steps you can take, sort of even putting eggshells around pots, even putting Vaseline or something around pots, anything that they won't cross.
Just makes it a little bit more difficult
keeps
for
them away.
them.
A lot of people are using sheep's wool now.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether it works quite well or not, but it seems to be a thing.
There you go. And of course, too, we do get warnings about the risk of potato blight. They may well come through, but always you need to keep an eye on that yourself.
Yes,
Don't be relying
exactly.
too
At
heavily
the
on
stage, if you are spraying or not using blight-resistant varieties, probably every 2 weeks now, you nearly want to be spraying.
Yeah. Growing our own food. Hudson's Neen were there. They recently installed a polytunnel. It's fantastic for the kids, and already you walk in the heat and the humidity, and you can see it's a fantastic area for growth. They've done it at scale. It's not something. They're not necessarily. You can get a polytunnel relatively affordable. There's not much to it really. Like it is, they're accessible.
Oh, they are accessible, surely. And around here, because our climate's so changeable and our season's so short for growing stuff, the use of a polytunnel really extends the season. Like you can be pretty much growing year round, if you know what I mean. And for sort of delicate stuff like tomatoes,
do you have your tomatoes in a polytunnel? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
and they have to be in a polytunnel.
Yes,
really.
pretty much. If you're very lucky in a south-facing porch or something, you might be alright outside.
But that's not many of us.
9 times out of 10 round.
So you're walking in the morning, you got that noise, that smell, that heat.
Yes,
must be nice.
Exactly. I know it's great to you. The best time for a tunnel is actually a day like today, where it's actually raining outside. You're sitting and you're working away, happy enough, and it's nice and warm, and you can hear the rain and it's not bothering you.
Yeah. What about a beer fridge? Would that be appropriate?
We've put up many tunnels for people for many uses, and funny, a lot of them would have actually what I call they're basically what I call morning coffee and evening wine.
Well, that's it. So it's 5 o'clock somewhere, or what have you? No, I'm only messing. Right. Okay. So we often get calls about, what can I plant now? So what's really good to be planting now?
Yeah. Food wise, sort of any of your salads, they'll fly on this time of year. So you put them in, you'll get a return very quickly. Salads, onions, that sort of stuff. Even what do you got? Your cabbages and that.
Pak chow, I see written down here. Sorry? What's that? Pak chow?
Pak chow. Yeah. What a lot of people are doing now, especially if they have a tunnel or that, they're not growing the vegetables that you can readily get. But like a lot of people are growing stuff like pak choy.
What is pak chow?
It's Chinese cabbage.
Okay.
A member of the cabbage family, but it's just sort of different flavour profile to it.
Is it used in cooking or for coleslaw or what?
Both.
Right, okay.
Much. It's actually quite nice and very easy growing around here.
But as you say, it's not readily, I'm sure you can get it somewhere, but it feels a little bit more like you've done something.
Exactly. But funny, we would put up tunnels for a lot of people who maybe they're not originally from Ireland, and they're actually missing stuff from home that you can't get in the supermarkets here fresh. Yeah. So they're actually, or if they can get it here fresh, it's quite expensive. So they're growing a taste of home, basically.
Yeah, well, that's the side of it. Well, I think more and more we're going to be looking to rely on our own produce, especially when it's doable. Right, okay, so fruit trees too. Fruit trees, would they be looking good now?
Fruit trees should be looking good now. You should see your wee, like say your apple tree or whatever, you should see the wee apples on them. And pretty much now. So now is an important time to actually check them to see. First of all, check that you haven't too much fruit on it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better now to sacrifice some to get better fruit.
Is there a particular part of the branch you would take the fruit from in that situation?
Pretty much generally out towards the end of it, because it'll be hanging down. You could actually risk breaking a branch with too many apples or something like that, if you know what I mean.
Outweighs in.
Yeah, pretty much. And the other thing would be keep an eye on the birds, because it's coming into a sort of hungrier time now. Sometimes.
Pears routine. A pear's harder to grow than apples.
Pears would be slightly harder. They're not harder to grow,
right?
But they're harder to ripen.
Yeah.
We just don't get the sunshine around here.
I've seen them, and they look the part, but it's like biting into a potato.
Yes, pretty much. But there are steps you can take in terms of ripening them off the branch in the home or whatever. If you remember, there's just a bit more work.
But it's a little bit the strawberries earlier on. It's the natural sunlight, prolonged, that really brings them to where they need to be.
Sweetness.
And plums are like Marmite to me. Sometimes I love them, and sometimes the thought of it
Yeah, plums grow very well around here.
It's the dirty big knot in the middle. I don't know what the problem is.
But no, it's suppose they are a bit what they call it like that. All right, but
I think bitter ones as well. Picked bitter ones in the past. I think that's probably what.
But no, for jams and even for plum tarts and that sort of thing, they'll be very good. But plum trees give you a huge amount back. You get a huge crop of plum tree if it's growing well. So that's where people would grow them just for the crop itself.
All right, and just in terms of discouraging birds, what's the...
Yeah, I suppose the most effective way is putting a net over the tree, pretty much, just because they'll stay away from it instinctively.
But it's like we talked last week, a listener, or 2 weeks ago, a listener's tree had sort of got so large a net wasn't an option any longer.
A lot of people put up CDs, that sort of stuff, but they're sort of limited effect.
Does it matter if it's country, rock, pop?
No,
this doesn't matter.
No, generally, very good. The ones who used to come free with the newspapers.
Yes,
they work quite well.
Yes. I remember all of that. And did you ever remember? I know I'm older than you. I was so blood excited. We had a record player in the house, and there was one of the pop magazines came with it was like a flexible single.
Oh yes.
I remember that. I can't remember who it was. Probably E17 or something, but it was all very exciting. Right, I'm growing beetroot. When are they ready to harvest, and how long does it take for them to grow?
It doesn't take a while long for them to grow. You probably start to finish a couple of months. A lot of people would pick the beetroot where it's still quite small, because it tends to be, as it grows, it tends to get drier a bit.
Okay.
Sort of hollow centres. So generally, whenever they're about the size of a tennis ball, right, that's perfect to pick them.
Do you eat beetroot?
Yes, I do. I would pickle my own beetroot times
There's
as well.
really nothing you don't eat that you can grow, is there?
No, pretty much. You give most of it a go. But no, see if you pickle your own beetroot, actually, and even get sort of homegrown stuff that's pickled, you wouldn't go back to the jar.
Right, it's a different product.
A different world altogether.
All right. Where can I find the old type wallflower?
Old type wallflower, a good question. This is a sort of common thing. People are breeding new flowers, like new wallflowers for different colours, more vibrant colours, and the plants tend not to be as strong. So if somebody's looking for the old type. Generally, the old type it'd be hard to get. Check with your local garden centre if you get they would have.
Have they been bred out of existence?
Not even bred out of
existence.
Not bred,
but you know what I mean.
To be honest, like say the older ones would have sort of plain pastel colours, if you know what I mean.
So it's demand.
Demand, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
People see a big bright one on the shelf, they're going to pick that up first, if you know what I mean.
I'll have a look at an old one here. Right, okay, yeah.
So, but generally you could take cuttings and stuff off it, or even take up that you could actually lift up the thing and divide if somebody wanted to donate you one.
All right, okay. How can I stop my buttercups growing so quickly after I cut my grass?
Yes, major problem. All right, buttercups are so vigorous; they tend to grow twice as fast as the grass, so they become visible very quick. If you know what I mean. Generally, if you're fond of work, dig them out. Because buttercup can actually spread they're creeping buttercups, so they spread.
Why might they not want them? Is it because the lawn looks unkept too quickly?
Yes, pretty much. A lot of you could cut the lawn today, and the buttercups will be back up again tomorrow morning. If you know what I mean. But
I don't find them offensive at all. But it's different if you have you get some weeds that sprout up, and it looks like I haven't shaved my head correctly. But I don't mind the buttercups as much.
No, you can get selective weed killers too, which to be honest, I would sort of learn to live with them as much as anything else. But digging out or spraying.
I know where the listener's coming from, though. Last year, my roses didn't bloom to the true potential. This year, I used old horse manure, and they're away crazy. My aunt's old remedies making a comeback, much to my delight.
Yes,
so, is this a happy coincidence, or has the horse poo worked?
No, the horse poo has definitely worked. I would say there's generally a lot of gardening information. Like the older stuff always worked for people, and people were using what they had.
They weren't reliant on.
Exactly.
They weren't reliant
but
on.
But no, generally, something like that. As long as the fertilizer, or as long as the manure is a wee bit aged, if you know what I mean, like aged horse manure, at least a year.
Yeah.
But not to be putting on too fresh, if you know what I mean. But because something like a rose, you want a huge amount of flowers, and you want it to give a lot to you, so you're going to have to put stuff in back.
Yeah. Okay. It's so nutritious, you can imagine.
Yeah.
Does the law about cutting shrubs in small patches of gardens? Is it March to 31st of August, or is it more in the country, bigger areas? Thank you. That comes in from Mary. So cutting shrubs?
No, cutting shrubs, as far as I'm aware, is not covered by that. Like if you're doing it within the garden on a small scale.
It's your own space. Yeah.
Exactly. Whereas like roadside hedges, that you're not supposed to cut between the 1st of March.
But they can be cut if there's a safety issue there.
Yes.
By the way, because some people see them cut and they go, well, what's going on there? Well, if you've got an overhanging hedge and there's a risk to people who are visually impaired or what have you that could cut them. If there's sightlines issues on a road, they can be cut.
Yeah, they can be cut, all right. Yeah. I suppose they're trying to reduce it as
But
best
what happens
they can.
is that people see them cut and then they go, oh, what's happened there?
Yes.
But there are circumstances
where it isn't, but no, it doesn't really apply to the garden as such.
Dog pee, sorry, on the grass. Another one in here on that. It's a common issue, isn't it?
Yeah. Generally, to repair the patches, if you get like a wheelbarrow and mix a wee bit of sand and compost and grass seed, and just rake the patch first, and then spread it.
Did you say the damaging part of the pea evaporates, or you don't have to do anything about that?
No, generally it would, like a couple of showers of rain would neutralise it, if you know what I mean. But I suppose the big thing would be encourage the dog to go elsewhere.
Yeah, that's true. Or not have a dog at all. Any advice on how to cut pampas grass? We've done this. Comes up quite a lot.
It does quite a bit.
I think you keep sending this in because you're a closet arsonist. Go on.
Yes. No, generally cutting back is notoriously difficult. That's probably why it keeps coming in, if you know what I mean. But no, the traditional way was to burn them. Just fill them full of newspaper on a day and light them, and then they'll come up from the ground again. But obviously, just not any time where there's a fire warning or if it's near the oil tank.
Okay, well, listen, brilliant as always having you up, Paul. Thanks so very much for answering all the questions and giving us loads of advice and encouraging people to get out there and enjoy their space. And as I say often, you can a little balcony or something, or a windowsill, or what you can dedicate a windowsill and have that lovely range of colour and what have you. I don't want people to feel that because we're in the garden that we're being exclusive. Not everyone has that facility, but you can do stuff with your space.
Yeah, but even like yourself, chatting about sort of introducing a few indoor plants first, and sort of branch out from there.
See, my whole childhood, Mum had indoor plants everywhere, and she had weeds in plants as well. She didn't really see weeds.
Yes,
if you know what I mean. Weeds were were also plants to her.
Yeah.
In a way, if you know what I mean, that was just the nature of her. But they were always those spider plants. I remember them; they were everywhere. That must have been very 80s, was it?
70s, 80s, yeah. So the geraniums as well, they went out for the summer and come back in. And to be honest, I was never the fondest of the smell of the geraniums. And the busy lizzies did
but
the same.
It's about colour and scent, and I think it's important that I make sure that our kids sort of have the same memories I had. You know what I mean? Things like that. You don't think it matters at the time, and then you get a smell or a sight or a conversation like this, and it hits you like a ton of bricks.
Right,
it's brilliant.
It's funny in the garden centre, the geraniums particularly. You get people coming in and saying, "Oh, I love the smell of them because it reminds me of knowing the house from Mammy or whatever." Yeah. Then other people come in and say, "I hate them."
It's funny, but it's all memories.
Yeah.
And senses and feelings. All right, Paul, listen, thanks very much. Thanks to Robin for having a quick chat with us. Enjoy your summer, Robin. Enjoy your next couple of weeks till we see you again, Paul.
Yes, thank you.
All right, back with more after the break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Worldwide travel made easy from Donegal Airport. Twice daily Aer Lingus flights via Dublin connect you to Aer Lingus and Qatar's global network. Enjoy a smooth journey. Book now at aerlingus.com and start your next adventure from Donegal Airport.
If you have a special occasion coming up, Watson Menswear stock a great selection of men's and boys' formal and casual wear. Top casual brands include Mishmash, French Connection, Tommy Bow and Penguin. Formal wear names include Rimazumo, Sixth Sense and White Label, with a special suit deal of a 3-piece suit, shirt, tie and shoes, all for only €299. Watson Menswear, open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny and at watsonmenswear.com.
TFI Local Link offers frequent, affordable and sustainable bus services, keeping rural communities in Ireland connected. Save up to 30% on fares when you use your TFI Leap card on eligible TFI Local Link services. For route and timetable information, visit transportforireland.ie.
The law around organ donation is changing. From June 17th, every adult in Ireland will be considered an organ donor when they die. We're doing this to help save and transform lives, and you will have the power to choose what's right for you. Talk to your family and friends to make sure they know your wishes. Find out more about the change at gov.ie/organ donation. A message from the Government of Ireland.
Milford Tiles, Milford Retail Park. Spring sale now on. 45 by 45 tiles, $12.99 a square yard. 60 by 60 tiles, $15.99 a square yard. 12 by 600 tiles, $24.99 a square yard. In stock and ready to go at Milford Tiles. 083 0910 707.
Now I'm joined in studio by two important guys. Brian Gallagher, Managing Director of the Station House in Letterkenny. Brian, good morning to you.
Good
Morning, Greg.
It's good to have you with us. How are you keeping?
Well, keeping good.
Good
keeping
stuff.
Good, yeah.
Good
Thank
stuff.
you.
Paul Burns, Managing Director of the Radisson Blue Hotel in Letterkenny as well. Paul, how are you?
Great, Greg.
Good
to
stuff.
be here.
Right. I think this is an interesting one and it's timely, and I think it's great that it's being led out by businesses, especially in the areas in you work. I'll start with you, Paul. You've come together with other businesses to, I suppose, relaunch, reinvigor, renew the Go Visit Letterkenny initiative?
It is a bit to reinvigorate, right, because we've done this before. We did this from 2013 to 2019. All the same businesses came together. Actually, it's all the hotels in town, all the main pubs, and all the attractions around the town as well, to promote Letterkenny, to get together and promote Letterkenny just as a venue and as a place for short breaks.
A destination.
Exactly. So we did that from 2013 to 2019. Stopped kind of over COVID, and after COVID there was a surge in business for everybody, and recently we were talking to each other and we said we should get this going again because we're stronger together. We can get a stronger message out together, and that's what we're doing.
But Brian, obviously there's a great product there. There's fantastic accommodation, be it your likes of your hotels or bed and breakfasts. The restaurants are there. I don't need to mention them. Everyone knows. New restaurants have popped up in the last year. If you're into the pub scene, that's there. Live music venues. Not every town has this plethora of stuff. But as opposed to you're competing in a market where people are saying, come up the Wild Atlantic Way. Donegal Town's booming at the moment. There are other you have to sort of make sure that your place is established as, look, we're the populace of Donegal. Come here and see what we've got to offer.
Yes. Well, the idea of the group coming together initially was like an amalgamation of them businesses where we, instead of marketing for our own business individually, we come together, we have a bigger pot to advertise to get out to a wider audience. And we're more or less concentrating on the 200-mile radius.
Mm-hmm.
That's where our campaign is going to be more focused on. As we get more people involved, like we've got off to a great start. Everybody that was involved before is involved this time round. We are looking to grow it eventually. We'll try and get more people on board. But the point being is, if we come together, we have a bigger market and spend. We're not just advertising on our own behalf, we're advertising on the town as a whole, and we get the message out further.
Yeah, and I suppose the more people get involved, the bigger that pot is, the bigger the reach, and the old rising tide lifts all boats. Someone's going to get up in the morning and buy a coffee or a paper or whatever it might be.
That's it. We have a lot of repeat business. We have people that I'm just thinking. I was saying to Paul, like we have a couple in at the minute, and they're in Letterkenny every 2 months or so. They're coming back, but we need to get the message out to a new audience, a bigger audience, that's the plan.
Because there's trends, isn't it? The people.
The trends you have to move with the time. Even since the last campaign, we go back 5-6 years. Like things have changed. The media has changed. The Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah,
so
because it is interesting. I mean, like if you see, Derry, for an example, it stars rise and then there's a dip and a rise and a dip. Carrick-on-Shannon's the same, Bundoran, Donegal Town's in a boom at the moment. There's a sort of a cyclical nature to it, Paul, isn't there? Yeah. That, it ebbs and flows. It's not necessarily about, it's just reminding people what's there, get your ass back in and have a great weekend.
Yeah, you're 100% right, Greg. What we want to do is just raise the profile of the town, put ourselves on the radar, that if somebody is thinking about a short break, a weekend break, that we come into their mind, And other towns, as you say, other towns are doing this. They're doing this already around near us and far away as well. So they're getting their message out. It's a competitive market. We're all competing for the same people, So it's up to us to make sure we get a strong brand out. And the one thing I would say is, Letterkenny is not a hard sell, and Donegal is not a hard sell. Letterkenny it's a very popular town with a huge amount of things to offer people. Donegal is such a strong brand everywhere in the country. Everyone loves Donegal. So, it's a good message, and it's just about getting it out effectively and getting it widespread.
And there's a built-in buzz because there's a mixture of sort of, businesses and residential. So Would you be of the feeling, Paul, that you're starting from a good base? This is about building on what's there. This is not, right, lads, we need to do something about this. The situation is dire. You're saying, right, things are pretty good, but, let's get the message out there. Let's go from, 70% occupancy to 95%. We can do this. Is that where we're at?
Absolutely. This hasn't come about because of any crisis or anything like that.
Yeah, that's the point I was trying to make.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. We're looking to build on the success that we already have. You can always improve. And like I said, there's loads of other towns doing this, But I think we're a lot more successful than sometimes we give ourselves credit for. I mean, we have 7 or 8 hotels here in Letterkenny. They're all busy. I can't think of many towns around the country, regional towns, that have that many hotels all busy. And I can honestly say, that I speak to people in the hotel all the time checking out, and they say, God, there's a great buzz about this town. I love it. It's dead where we're from. So, it is building on what we have. But, as Brian said, you see, trends change. And you say, things go up and down, either your method of advertising or marketing or your popularity. It's never going to be constant or consistent. So it is just, we have a very good person with Mary Crawford in the right angle to do that PR work for us, and we have all business people sitting around the table as well, giving direction. So we're hopeful that we will have a good impact, and we'll be.
And I love to see the pushback. Not that it's a pushback, sorry, but I love to see Letterkenny promoting itself, because like I have to sit here and sort of reflect the views of local representatives or the public, and there are some challenges, and it's more daytime challenges in terms of access and roads and stuff like that. I'm not saying that's not the case, but I think it was Leonard Watson was on with me. He pushed back. He says, hold on a second, you know what I mean? Letterkenny is buzzing, the shops are busy, there's great parking. Most of the time you can get into the town. And I was like, fantastic, well done, Leonard. I'm really pleased that you're sort of pushing back, because I try to, but you have to advocate for yourself as well too, and say, right, we recognise there are some issues, but look at what we've got that works. And that's what I think you guys do. You're just saying, look at, we've got a fantastic product here. Let's get it out to more people. Brian, I don't want in any way to be negative, right? But obviously, we've got the Wild Atlantic Way, which is looping around Letterkenny.
Yes.
A lot of promotion in there, and there always will be, because the powers that be see that as their legacy. They've done a really good thing there. There are efforts to sort of, promote the east of the county. With all its size and all it has to offer, is Letterkenny sometimes a little bit lost, do you think, in tourism promotion, or are you content with that, and this is just a layer on top of that?
Well, I think the Wild Atlantic Way definitely has worked. It's worked for Donegal. It's worked for the west coast of Ireland. No, I couldn't see a negative in that. No,
that's good. That's good.
Letterkenny is getting.
It gets its lift as well.
Getting their lift, but again, we can always have more, and this is the idea of this to get it out.
I think, Greg, that Letterkenny, we've always said, is a fantastic base for exploring Donegal. It's at the bottom of the 2 peninsulas there of Inishowen and Fanad. Glenveigh National Park, you wouldn't believe how many, I saw numbers recently, how many people visit that each year. Tropical World, Lurgy Brack Farm, we have that on our doorstep as well. But
and with the weather, then tons of indoor stuff.
With the weather, we've the indoor stuff, Arena 7, Century Play. All these people have invested a lot of money. They want to provide a good facility. They want to get a return on their investment. But it is a great base for investing in Donegal. We've always said that, that for golfing as well, instead of being at maybe the top of one peninsula and having to go from there back to Letterkenny, you have to go through Letterkenny anyway to get to Downings from Ballyliffin. It's a good location.
We believe we're in the heart of Donegal. Like, if you take it as a spoke of a wheel, we're at the hub of it.
I think so. I think you're pretty much an hour from
an hour from anywhere.
You can be on Ironmore Island in an hour and 40 minutes.
And as a town, like, again, another big point is if you come north of Galway, we have 650 to 700 hotel bedrooms in this town available to guests. There are not many towns north of Galway that can say
and
that.
I think hotels get a bad rap because often they're grouped in with the national picture, the gouging and all that kind of stuff. I was in your place, Brian, I think it was not so long ago, and I had lunch, right? And I thought, wow, okay, that's really quite affordable. Like, you are, and I'm not picking you over the Radisson, it's just that I just so happened to be there. So you guys are constantly trying to deliver the best value.
One of the main points that we all agree on is that Letterkenny still offers great value. We've always said that. We're offering great value compared to other destinations.
Especially for when you're in a big population area.
For the quality that's on offer. You know, the value is we have value, there's no doubt about it.
All right, okay. So how might people, and we're sort of over that 200-mile radius here from this, how might people sort of start seeing the messaging? What's the process, Paul or Brian, either of the two of you?
I think, things have changed nowadays. We used to run ads on UTV. I don't think we'll be doing that this time. It's probably mainly social media based. Facebook, Instagram, the younger generation as well. TikTok.
Radio was very, very good at radio.
Of course, radio. Well, Highland Radio, everyone who listens to Highland Radio knows about us anyway.
We know about the
radio. Let me tell you about the radio side of things. And this, I'm actually just saying this, by the way. This is more business rather than looking for business. 50% of people that listen to radio in this region only listen to Highland. So if you had a radio spend, right, and you were not spending it on Highland, you're actually not reaching half of the population that listen to radio. Isn't that remarkable? That's and I mean, amazing. That's just a quirk of our business, and you have it with your businesses as well. But it's reaching people through the socials. The TikTok's huge because you talked about a new generation of people, right? TikTok, Instagram, all that type of stuff. Show the buzz, show the atmosphere, show that Letterkenny is also actually, I think, safe. It's like another issue. Sometimes things are talked about, but if you talk about the tens of thousands of people that are through all the different venues and everything that goes on, that's great. Okay, so what next then, Brian? It's just
well, we sort of have a marketing plan.
This is an all-year-round thing.
It's going to be an all-year-round thing. I suppose where we are conscious of the social media and the visualization of marketing, and we are hoping to get a videographer and doing a couple.
And
of
I can
videos,
see the image. Pick one of your places. Pick McInness. Panning around the crowd, enjoying themselves onto the band. Yes. That's what you can come here and enjoy.
That's sort of one of the main focuses now.
Or wherever it might be. Sorry, I'm just picking random premises. It could be.
And they're all in. They're all involved. So
thank God.
Exactly.
They're all involved.
Imagine if I picked the one that says, I'm not involved in that, I'm doing all right.
You did well, Greg.
Yeah, but you know what I'm on about?
Yes,
that's the visual stuff.
Yes.
Or the beautiful restaurants that we have, so just show people enjoying that, or the bowling, or the darts, or whatever it might be. Okay.
Yes.
Well done. Is it a call out there to any businesses that maybe haven't been caught up in this to sort of say, right, you can be part of something bigger here?
I think so. To date, everyone, like Letterkenny Activity Centre, I didn't mention them, they're involved as well. Everyone who is involved at the moment was involved the last time around. And we would like to spread it a bit wider. I think we're thinking about restaurants as well.
Yes.
Maybe they would like to see us up and running, and doing this, and they will, So,
and the Chamber of Commerce are also behind this. The shopping centres. And the Donegal County Council as well have come in.
And what I think is amazing is that the way you're approaching it, in that there's sort of business conflicts that you're putting to one side, right? Yeah. So you have live music in, or you have great restaurants, but also working with others that are standalone restaurants. And I think not every town does that. And I think that collaborative approach is really the way forward. And I think it's a testament to you guys.
We're stronger together.
The business community
together.
that you see that everyone benefits.
Yes.
Honestly, Greg, it's refreshing sometimes to work with other people, because we're used to working on our own all the time, and like to get together in a room, and we all have the same issues that we face, and to be working together is everyone.
And if they're not involved too, if you're involved in the history of the town, the traditional background to it, I'm not sure if they are, but you know what I mean. Yeah. There's an astonishing, vibrant history. Do we have organised walks?
The platform that
I don't
we
know,
have
but
is
there's
there
more and more and more
to highlight everything that we have within the town.
Because when I visit a place, my attraction comes to learning something about it. It's history. I don't know why that is, but anyway, it is. Yes. All right, brilliant stuff. Thanks very much. If there's anything else that I've missed that you think you want to mention, Paul or Brian,
that's brilliant.
We crossed it all,
Greg,
didn't
thank
we?
you.
Listen, best of luck with it. Look forward to I look forward to seeing it. And as you say, getting the videographer on board, and we've got some amazing young and older people, but some amazing people that can really sell a product.
We don't have to go far to get.
No, I don't think
the
we
right.
do. Yeah. All right. Well, we look forward to seeing that. Brian Gallagher, managing director of the Station House Hotel Letterkenny, and Paul Byrne, who's the managing director of the beautiful Radisson Blue Hotel Letterkenny. Both of you, thank you very much indeed.
Thank
The
you, Greg.
9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Father's Day is nearly here, and the US Open is just around the corner. Make it a celebration to remember with the perfect gift from McGurk's Golf. We've got everything dads need, from the latest clubs and stylish apparels to top brand shoes, golf balls, bags and accessories. Visit McGurk's Golf, Unit 16, Letterkenny 40 Retail Park, where golfers shop with confidence.
Ready for sunshine? Fly EasyJet from Belfast International Airport to a range of holiday destinations including Tenerife, Amsterdam, the Algarve, Barcelona and many more, which you can find in Belfast International Airport's summer schedule. Don't miss out, book today with EasyJet. Find your destination inspiration.
It's 252 time at Hyundai. Discover the all-new Inster 2025 World Electric Vehicle and the Santa Fe, Women's World Car of the Year 2025. Explore the new Ioniq 5 and discover why Ireland loves the best-selling Tucson and award-winning Kona. It's 252 time at Hyundai.
Your local dealer is Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. Call 9122 600.
A seesaw, a staring contest, a high five? Some things are hard to do on your own. In business, becoming more sustainable can be one of them. That's why Bank of Ireland has introduced the Sustainable Business Coach. This free digital platform gives you guidance, support, and a practical plan to help you take your next sustainability steps. To get started today, search Bank of Ireland Sustainable Business Coach. Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
This Father's Day, treat Dad to a day of fun at Century Complex. Join our Father's Day golf tournament at Century Golf. And guess what? Dad's golf free. Enjoy friendly competition, great prizes and unforgettable family moments. Don't miss out, Sunday, June the 15th, only at Century Complex. Visit centurycinemas.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates with McInness. Find all your summer essentials from fashion and accessories to beauty and homeware at McInness. Explore more in-store or shop online at mcinness.com today.
So, the weather. Cloudy and wet today with outbreaks of rain along with the risk of some thunderstorms. There's potential for localised surface flooding. So you know yourself, the water that can lie in the side of the road and can catch your wheel. It's horrible when you get that tickly, stingy. Do you ever get tingles in your armpits in a situation like that, or is that a quirk I have? Anyway. A humid day with maximum temps of 16 to 18 degrees with moderate southeast breezes. John Wilkie on Facebook, we need to promote Letterkenny more. Walk, trails, historian buildings, walk, maybe the Swilly. We are the best wee town in the northwest. Well done. Indeed, and as I say, it's great also to be able to reflect the sort of positive stuff that's happening. But people who know me get me, and I think the two lads there know that sometimes you have to talk about stuff to try and get improvements, and then you have an opportunity then to talk about stuff that we're doing really, really well. Mark English from Letterkenny, of course, and Finn Valley AC. He did us proud on Monday night, breaking his own record in the 800 metres. I'm wondering if the race he is running in tonight in Oslo will be televised. Great if it is. Thanks. Well, I'm told, and I hope it's the case, that it's on Virgin Media at 7:15 tonight. The Minister for Health is Fine Gael, and I'm sure it's not lost on her that we in Donegal did not vote for Fine Gael in this county. Sligo has a Fine Gael TD plus Fianna Fáil TD, not forgetting independent TD Marion Harkin of rural TDs supporting the government. I'm afraid we haven't a hope, Greg. Well, you see, that's what this is all about, because if we haven't a hope, let's get everything on the record, let's get the commitments, let's make the arguments, and then we'll really know where we're at. And I keep sounding like I'm backing the minister. I want to give her a chance. Let's see. I don't think she will make decisions herself personally based on Fine Gael's performance in Donegal. Look, they had a minister that decided not to run again. They've got obviously vocal councillors on the council, a senator who won't speak to me, another person that won't speak to me for some blooming reason because I ask questions. And, it's only 2 out of the entire population of the Dáil and Shannon. But anyway, What was I going to say to you? I don't think that's in her nature, but we shall see. It would be easier for Sligo patients to travel to Galway than for Donegal patients to travel to either Sligo or Galway due to the size of Donegal and the distances involved. The decision has been made. The civil servants have spoken. Well, this is the whole idea of there's FOIs in, as far as I'm aware, too, about the whole decision-making process. That's what we're doing right now in the moment. We're talking about something that's live, not saying, oh, this decision happened 6 months ago, what can we do? It can't be changed. The iron is hot now because the minister has not seen the business plan for Sligo. She has not signed off on it, and she has promised to review it. So we have to give her that space to do that and then take it from there. Interesting that the minister just said the decision is hers, yet anyone I've spoken to has said the opposite, and she's presenting with the case and signs off on it. What the real decision is made is by the management bosses, and she's the one who does as they say, not the other way round. Well, let's see. Let us see if that is the case. I'm going to bring that one in tomorrow, actually, because it's kind of a longer scam one, and maybe more people might be able to input it if I do it at the start of the show rather than just at the very end. I live in Donegal. I'm a returned immigrant from London. I went to the local post office last week. There was a queue out the door of foreign nationals. The clerk was giving them all 180 to 200 quid. They get free accommodation and money. When I was in London, I had to work and pay for everything. I do not get any support here in Ireland financially. How long can this continue in Ireland, they say. Do I have time for another one? I do. One big mistake many hotel owners make is not having an Irish person at the first point of contact at reception. I've found in my holiday stays around Ireland that receptionists had difficulty pronouncing my name. This isn't the Irish welcome tourists expect. A small point, but in my opinion, a very important one. If they're competent, I don't mind. I've not experienced this in Donegal because I haven't booked up in hotels in Donegal, but I find as soon as I go up to the hotel reception and say, Greg Hughes, all of a sudden I instantly feel like I must have not booked in at all. Oh, rummaging around the computer, left of the computer, into the computer, switching computers, up and down and then eventually go, there's your room. But I always think, have I booked the wrong hotel here? I don't know if that's just my experience, but it seems to be every hotel down the country I've been into. It's just this uncertainty of whether or not I have a room. And it is every single time. Anyway, that's just something I've noticed. It might be my ugly face. I don't know. All right, everybody. We're back tomorrow morning for, is it Friday tomorrow? Yeah, we're back for Friday's 9 till noon show with the Friday panel and so much more besides. Please come back and join us. But that's where we leave it for today.